Christine told me, can I take it with me when I go?
I don't know.
There should be the 2 forms that I have to take with me.
Oh,
She
they
has
have
to
to take
submit
with you?
those to the state.
There's a stack of 2 signed right here. Warrants, the bingo applications, all of this, and signatures on once you all approve.
Okay. You want to do,
Yeah.
pledge reading?
Well, I'll open them, I'll open them.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that first? So seeing as it is 6:31 and Melanie had let us know that she's going to be late, I would like to call the meeting to order. The Selectboard meeting on September 20th. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this point in the meeting, we are open to public comments. Does anyone have any public comments? Reading room, a little in.
Make sure you let it in.
If anybody sees that there's someone in the waiting room, let me know, because then I'll always be looking at the screen. Okay. So any public comments? Seeing none, let's move to old business. And the first item is reviewing the September 6th meeting minutes. I gave some comments to Lorna.
Yeah, I did.
You
I
did
gave
too.
her mine, yeah.
Dan, Rick, do you have any? Okay. And you'll add the language, Lorna, to.
Yes,
this?
ma'am.
Okay, so we'll, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with the addition of the language of the warrants that we did approve, because that language has to be in there.
I second.
All in favor? Dan?
Yes.
Yes? Kelly?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Barbara? Yes. 4 yes, 1 absent. The next item of business is the bench request by Mr. Beck.
That's me.
Hi. I know that there was a committee meeting. Lorna, would you like to? report on the meeting?
Yes, we had representatives of the Friends Group, the Select Board, myself, and Parks and Recreation, who all met, and I found a policy that was put in place in 2010, which allows the town manager to accept grants, gifts, and donations with a value of no greater than $5,000. So I can only assume that it was either an interim, probably an interim town manager who followed this policy and spoke with you about it to accept that. It then went to Parks and Recreation to determine if they could find a location to place the bench. And that was discussed, I believe, at the last select board meeting. No decision was made, and it was agreed to put a group of folks together representing all interested parties to discuss it. So that's what we did. And I believe we just came to the conclusion that the board would have the final say on placing that. I included out to the board all of the communication with it, along with a quote from the bench company for the cost, and there's several weeks lead time, 7 to 9 weeks at the point if the board chooses to proceed, if they order that. So
I guess my question is this, is this going to be a single item bench, or is this going to be part of the larger plan for the Friends to, because I understand they have a waiting list of people who are interested in benches in the second part of the project for the village. So would this be a standalone project, a standalone bench, or would this be somehow folded into the project that the Friends have?
I'm not sure what Carol and Liz had
Yeah, I
determined
think-
at the meeting.
My understanding was that the Friends needed to come back and have an executive session with the board to talk about our phase 2, which is bench placement and the using the benches as a fundraiser. And that if we get the board approval to move forward with that phase 2, then we would have a phase 2 fundraiser and we would take everyone in the order in which they came. So I believe that's where we left, is that we would come back to an executive session, not this meeting, but I don't know, sometime in October. Do you have that down for either one of those, Lorna?
I
Executive
don't,
session? So that we
I don't,
can-
not yet. I haven't done the
Yeah.
agenda for October.
So that was my understanding of how it was left, is we were, the intent would be that there would be phase 2 fundraising, and that would happen this winter. And benches would be placed in the spring.
And so the
provided-
ordering would be done by the Friends, and this would become part of the
Well,
larger Friends
the
project?
Friends would be doing, yeah.
The Friends would be doing this.
So I don't know if this would become part of the Friends. That was, I think, to be determined.
Yeah, looking at the paperwork on this one, I think this one's going to be a standalone. Towns accepted the donation of the Friends. And right now, it looks like it was one to be placed on Peninsula Park, which is now property. So. And I see the quote for the bench here. That doesn't include some kind of either a concrete pad or something to mount it on. So
Correct.
that'll be
It
figured
needs
into that.
mounting, and it would also need a plaque, which would probably be another $400 or
Right,
$500.
so. We will have to determine what it's gonna cost to do the, either concrete or however it's mounted. Cost of it.
So then this would be separate. This would not be part of
Yeah.
the Friends.
I don't know. I don't know that we determined it that way, so.
But anything the Friends do, they're gonna be fundraising on more benches after we probably placed on Friends property until they turn them over to town.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's what they
this
did.
is, this
That's
is,
what they
this
did.
is going on Peninsula Park.
Well, one of the things that we talked about at the meeting was that Parks and Recreation would look at other places within the town, within, the ball field, Hayden Park, North Belgrade Community Center, maybe the cemetery, other places where they could be, that the town would say, yes, we'd love to have more benches, and we would come up with a plan of, we have room for, pick a number, 15, 20, I don't know, whatever, so that people who are not necessarily tied to the village, but still would want the opportunity to commemorate a bench in other parts of the town. And that would, then the town would say, yes, we'll allow for X amount of benches, and so then the Friends would do the fundraising, saying, okay, we have these places, who's interested and who wants what place, and do it that way. So that was sort of the conversation that came out of that meeting.
Then before that next meeting, I think we need to check with the town lawyer and see if the town can do fundraising.
But
So
would be
they
the
end up-
town doing it.
To see if the Friends can do fundraising to place something that's on town property, it's already existing town property. That would be like having the Boy Scouts come in and say, we want to do a fundraising project to put something on town property, and we get to keep anything above.
Right, and that's what the EMT group did. Because.
It's not supposed to be anything above that, so I think it's supposed to go back to the donors or something. It's not, we're not supposed to make money, or they're not supposed to make money on something like that. It's supposed to cover the cost.
There are currently four, I think there are 3 bike racks and a bench that are on town property that the fundraising was done by the Friends. And then the park came with the benches all intact. And then we
The village.
fundraised separately for the benches and the bike, the lamp posts and the bricks. So,
I just want to check with the town lawyer to make sure it can be done that way. I don't know if another group can make a profit off of something not for town profit. I just want to make sure it's okay. If it's okay, it's fine.
I would think, I would think we'd have to, the voters of the town would have to approve a fundraiser like that. I don't think we have the right to do that. I think that's going to be a voter's approval for a group to be using fundraising money to do something else for the town. I'm not happy with this. I think it needs to be a vote of the town.
It was the last time.
well, we did talk about, we would have to have a warrant, which would probably be in March, saying, would the town accept the gift of, because it'd be more than $5,000. So would they accept a gift of X amount of, in such and such location? And if the town said yes, then we would go ahead and order them. If the town said no, then, that changes the dynamic. So there would need to be a warrant article in March.
I think that would make it a lot cleaner. And then there wouldn't be any of this discussion. If the voters said, yes, that's what we want to do, then that's what we do.
Are you talking about Mr. Beck's bench, or are you talking about future benches?
Anything beyond Mr. Beck's bench. I think Mr. Beck's is a one-shot deal. We accepted it already. We have to do something with it now. But anything for a fundraiser should have to go to the voters so it isn't just one group that's reeking in from this, I guess, what I want to say.
So if the cost comes under $5,000, which Mr. Beck has already paid, then the balance would be returned to him.
Absolutely. Yes.
That's what I would think. Yeah, I'm not trying to make money on. The only way the town would be able to keep it is if you wanted to donate it to the town to something else after that, anything that's left over, but
Maybe,
ultimately that would be up to him.
maybe whatever the, if it isn't 5,000, I could donate to the community center or something like that. The balance, be more happy to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing I really want to say is I didn't circumvent anybody. I hope nobody thinks I did. I just saw those beautiful benches. And, my wife passed away on July 3rd, and I wanted to do something for her. She loves to say, and that was my motive. So I've been, it's Mary. I emailed a number of times over the last couple of months about that, and I don't want to make any trouble for anybody for sure.
No, we appreciate your interest in.
Yeah, and if
understanding.
it's, let's say hypothetically, it was $3,500, I already issued 5. I donate the $1,500 to the community center
So,
gladly.
Mr. Beck, is it okay if we send, once we know what the cost
Yeah.
is and what the cost of installation, if we send you a letter stating
Yes,
the town of Belgrade has this is the total cost?
Yeah.
And then, we could actually put in writing that, yes, you've said the difference could go to the
Yes.
Center for All Seasons.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then that difference would be a contribution to the town.
Love to do it.
And just so you know, nobody thought you were trying to circumvent everything.
Well, I hope-
Not at
So,
all.
and I definitely don't want for you to ever feel like you were put in a weird position.
no,
That's why I was sending back, like, thank you so much for your patience with us. It wasn't,
No, you guys were very nice.
No,
No
you
issue.
just brought something forward that we didn't really plan on. We
Yeah.
Never thought of anybody donating money to the town to put up a bench. It just hadn't come really done.
right, to fruition, and
I
then.
kind of didn't know what I was doing, to be honest with you. I just saw the benches, said, I'd like to get one of those if it's possible.
Well, and you did a process that anybody would do, like to
Yeah,
put
I
a
think so.
memorial bench on town property, I should contact the town.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you guys all have my contact information. I live in Salt Lake City. I'm going back tomorrow. But I am coming back, and I can respond, there's a balance owed or whatever, you're more happy to pay the difference. Just let me know. I'll do whatever you want me to do. Okay, and then, you know, as far as whatever, the little plaque, whoever I need to, you know, speak with or work with on that, my grandkids have already figured out what they, what they wanted to say. I said, we're gonna make this probably a word limit on it, so, anyway.
It runs out of the back.
Yeah, no, it's not that one. So,
So, perfect. Do you want him to push that forward to us yet, or should we just stay and wait on that? I mean, if we have everything together with your name, so if you already have a plan for the plaque,
I do.
send an email to the town with it, and we're gonna
Okay.
keep it all
You want
together.
me to send it
so
to
that-
you?
Yes, I'll send
Okay.
an email out to you, touch base.
Okay,
We can
Yeah,
correspond and.
I can, I'm going back, I'll have it to you by Friday, or whatever you.
No problem at all.
Yeah,
And in the
perfect.
meantime, we need to find out the total cost of everything.
Yeah.
Figure out how we have to mount it, put cement in,
Right,
because we need to find out exactly what that cost is gonna be, so. Everything in the plan.
Yeah, I figured that. And Mary said something about Peninsula Park. That'd be awesome. We love that. So,
I believe that's where it's going.
okay, good. I love it.
So you'll have to come and sit a spell once it gets in.
I will, for sure.
Is there anything else on that?
Do we need to
Do we
vote to
need
accept?
to vote to accept the donation? Yeah, because it's the. Sorry for that. So we need to vote to accept the donation in the amount of $5,000.
Well, we need to accept $5,000, some of which may, the balance over the cost of the bench would be a donation. We don't know how that's going to work out.
Right, so what we've done is we've already accepted 5,000 because the town manager has already accepted.
Oh, so do we need to vote on it or no?
I'd say we gotta just hold off and wait till we find out the actual cost and then
Okay.
vote on everything at once.
Right, because normally what happens though is the meeting after a donation has come in, we have to acknowledge it at the next select board meeting.
But we don't know what the donation amount is going to be because the cost of the bench is not a donation.
I would say at this point that the town of Belgrade has accepted a donation from Mr. Beck in the amount of $5,000 towards a memorial bench to honor his late wife. And then.
That's fine.
and
With
then-
that, Melanie,
Yes,
sorry, it's Mary. So accept the donation of $5,000 towards the bench and with the balance to be applied to the Center for All Seasons.
right, so I would say.
Because we're not, yeah, we're not giving any money back, so I just accept the whole thing.
That's what I just did.
Oh, okay, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't hear it.
Well, because I think, Mary, the question is if it's more than 5,000. So at this point, what we've done is we've accepted a $5,000 donation towards the purchase of a bench and memoriam for his late wife. Mr. Beck has stated if there is any additional balance over $5,000, that he would be willing to donate that to the town. But if it's under 5,000, he'd be willing to donate the difference. If it's more than that, then he says, reach back out and he's happy to take care of that.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
That's okay. So right now, we're just in this $5,000 is.
And
is
that's how
just
the
accepting.
policy reads. The town manager has the authority to accept, and then at the next regular Board of Select Persons meeting, after approval of the request for, the town manager must provide relevant information on the amount, the purpose, all of that. So that's where we are right now, is you all voting to accept that.
But just to be clear that while he's giving the town $5,000, the balance between the cost of the bench and the installation and the plaque, and the difference between that and $5,000 is the actual donation, because he's receiving the bench for his donation. I just, as a former fundraiser, I just want to make clear that the donation, while he's giving the town $5,000, he's also receiving a bench that's worth somewhere, all told, $3,000 to $3,500. So it's not as if we would be crediting
not a
him,
total
it's not a
donation.
total donation. So I just want to make clear that,
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do too, but I don't know how we can be any more clear with what we've stated, because we don't have a final cost, including installation. And if something's cattywampus, then it's $5,000 and
well, rather than say
$25.
we're accepting the gift, why not just say,
We accept.
we've
the check.
accepted $5,000 from Mr. Beck for a bench in memory of his late wife, and any balance over and above the cost of the bench and its installation and plaque will be donated to the Center for All Seasons.
Okay, I'll
So
second your motion, okay?
Sorry for all the technicalities, but
That's okay.
All right, it's moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Seeing none. Ricky,
Yes,
Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
yes,
Carol,
I'm going to abstain.
okay. Okay, so 4-4, 1 abstention. All right, next under old business is to finalize the.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
very
you.
welcome.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Beck. Safe travels.
Okay, and you'll,
I'll be in contact.
okay, great, thanks, everybody.
Mona, I'm pulling that stuff from the bench out, put it in a little pocket in my thing. I had a bunch of other stuff that I saved to go back and look at, and it's all gone.
So
Don't throw it away.
what they do sometimes is they clip it together and
Yeah,
then.
it's not
I
my
didn't.
box, so.
I
Oh.
cleaned it up.
Yeah, we don't want them cleaned out.
Okay, all right.
I go back and
Yeah.
use those because
I
I
won't
have
do
to
it
do,
again.
no, because I have to do the newsletter articles. And that's why we keep our stuff in our books.
Okay.
Yeah.
Duly noted.
We try to take it out of the binder to recycle it. and put it
Okay.
away, we try.
Growing pains.
I thought I'd mention it.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad you did.
All right, so we're not, so the agenda item reads finalize the cooperative agreement. I don't believe we're finalizing it just yet. So,
Whatever we have to do, put out votes,
right,
or put out.
right, so we just need to
votes.
change the wording of that warrant article.
And I gave you
Yeah.
single sheet, I think.
Yeah, on the
that
first
shows
page.
Yeah.
the language.
Yes,
okay.
so at the very, in the very last sentence, instead of saying the final agreement is available in the town office, it just says subject to review and approval by the board. So it just gives us a little bit more time.
So Melanie,
Yes,
did anybody get in touch with Bill? Because we're beyond our 60-day deadline. You finalized those warrant articles at the last meeting.
okay, so what I'm gonna do, so first, actually, let me take a motion to open this item. Remove. Okay,
Second.
moved and seconded. So the question was posed. I did ask Lorna to check with our town attorney to see, and so I'm gonna read Phil's response into the minutes. So he says, "Hi Lorna, it was good to talk with you. As we discussed, while in the ordinary course referendum articles must be filed with the clerk at least 60 days prior to an election. In my view, the board can decide to change, remove, or add referendum warrant articles for a town meeting election as long as the warrant has not been posted for 7 days and is more than 14 days prior to election day." 30, I think he means MRSA, subsection 2528, subsection 4E5. I understand the board may want to consider amending the warrant article related to the proposed MDOT agreement to give the board the authority to finalize the language in the agreement after receiving authorization from the voters on November 8th. If so, the language for that article could read as follows. Should the town authorize the board of select persons to enter into a cooperative agreement with the Maine Department of Transportation for the installation, maintenance, and operation of a community water system? to remedy the salt contaminated properties generally bounded by but not limited to Route 27, Route 135, and Routes 8 and 11. Such terms and conditions of the final agreement subject to review and approval by the board. I hope this is helpful. Please let me know if you have any other questions.
So I want to go on record as saying that I take issue with that. I know what Phil is saying, but the town does not have a charter. State law, we default to state law. State law says 60 days. And I did post that already on the Town of Belgrade website. It is not posted in all of our locations. But it was, Phil and I previously had a discussion. The board agreed to the warrant article on September 6th. And I just want to go on record that you're now setting a precedence to be able to change warrant articles as you see fit for town meetings. And anyway, I just want to go on record saying that. I mean, you can change it, but that's how I feel about it.
Okay.
So you and I had a discussion about the warrant article as it's currently written. So we don't have to hold the public hearing 30 days out as we were going to do. We could hold it 10 days, keep the same warrant article, hold it 10 days as we're legally allowed to, and then have the public hearing, which will allow additional meeting time for the board to come to a decision on the agreement. But I mean, it's up to you.
Thoughts?
Oh, I don't have a law degree, so I typically defer to somebody that has a law degree that says you can do something or can't do something. So,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're yet ready to ratify the agreement, so we need time. And I think this allows us the time, and our attorney says we can do it, so.
But what this also, but what that warrant article that Phil changed also doesn't say that a copy is available at the town clerk's office. So that is no longer in the revised warrant article. And so it is going to be on you 5 people to make the decision for the whole town. Whereas if a copy was available, people would be able to view that copy, and it would be then the town's decision on the salt treatment system. It's not about having a law degree. It's about what is in state statute, and we default to state statute because we do not have a charter as a town. And anyway.
Well, are we close enough to an agreement that we would have one at the end of October?
I think what we have
We have
here,
one more meeting, right? Before we'd have to make a decision.
Yeah,
And so there's enough time to keep the same warrant article.
Mary, my concern is if we get into a situation where we get into a stalemate with the state, then we either have to make a decision on something that we're not completely comfortable with. Is that?
But now you're going to be taking it out of the legislative body's hands to be able to view that agreement, because this warrant article does not say that a copy will be on file with the clerk's office, meaning it's going to be on you 5 people to make that agreement for the whole town. Are you following what I'm saying?
Yes, I understand.
So Mary, can we just add that line?
What line?
No, she's saying we can't change anything.
So can we add, where there's a question mark at the end, final approval?
But then you don't have to change the warrant article, Melanie. It can stand as it was originally written.
If we come up with an agreement that we're all happy with 10 days,
Right.
by 10 days before the vote. So,
But if we don't come up with an
You're going to
agreement,
have absentee ballots ready, what, October 8th
Hey,
or 8th? So you're going to have a final agreement done and ready for those absentee ballots for people to review prior to voting.
and Mary's
So,
saying we wouldn't have to have a hearing until 10 days before.
but
Yeah,
you're going
I
to,
don't-
if you're going to have it on the absentee ballots, people are going to want to see the agreement if you said that it's on file with the clerk's office for viewing.
yeah, that's true. It is.
It pushes you to have a final agreement prior to October 8th.
I'd rather change the language and then put a draft agreement subject to change on the website for the people to at least look at what we're looking at.
That's fair.
Well, I think that's better. At least that gives people an idea that are interested in exactly what's being proposed.
Right now, I mean, we could fight with the state for the next 6 months on one little item on there,
Right,
you know, and I'd rather be able to fight with them
right.
and hold their feet to the fire rather than be locked in.
I think the issue, me coming in, only being here 2.5 weeks, is that this has gone back and forth between the town and the state so many times. And you're at a critical point where you're down to the wire and the next final is going to be final. And you want to be very sure that you're doing the best you can for the town. And working on a timeline where you may not feel comfortable right now saying, this is it, we're good to go. You're going to have that doubt, and it may be the wrong decision to just say, this is it, let's vote on it, right? Hindsight, you know.
So Mary, at the end of this, can we add the language that a draft copy or a working copy?
I'll put a note with it.
A
Yeah.
copy of the cooperative agreement in progress is on file with the town of Belgrade or available to the town
Or a
clerk.
draft, or just a draft, you just Dan,
Yeah, draft subject to change.
draft subject to change.
We know it's close, so.
Right,
So the final line would read a draft.
but if we just say, I would add another sentence,
Right.
a draft of this, of the final agreement is available at the town, with the town clerk.
But a
this
draft-
says a copy of the cooperative agreement is on file with the town clerk's office. That's what's posted.
A draft of the
So
cooperative,
we'll have is a draft
draft
of the
copy.
cooperative
a
agreement.
draft copy.
Can we change that, or is it the same problem again? That we're too many days out?
No, there's a draft, because
If we're
we're
changing
not.
this, we can change that.
You're already changing it.
Yeah, if we're changing this, we can change that.
So a draft of the cooperative agreement is on file with the town clerk.
If you just say a draft copy,
Yeah.
all you have to do is insert the word draft. I think this is what's out there. So if you just say a draft copy.
Yeah. All right, Mayor, does that sound better?
Sure. So are you going with the newly written warrant article then?
Yes, added a sentence about the draft copy.
Yeah, no, I know that part. No, the warrant article is somewhat different in the body than the original one.
Do you have that still up, Karen?
Yeah, I'll pull that back.
So is that sentence, so is, if we have the sentence about the draft copy, is that actually in the warrant article, or that's just for information?
So this is shall the town, this is to proceed with voting. This is the thing.
So it's to proceed with the vote, shall the town. So it should actually say to
All right,
proceed
shall
with
the
the
town
voting by secret
authorize
ballot on the
The
following
Board of
question.
Selectmen to
Shall the
enter
town
into a
authorize?
cooperative agreement with Maine DOT for installation, maintenance, and operation of the community water system? Is that, I'm trying to read too
Yeah.
fast. To remedy the salt contaminated properties generally binded by, but not limited to Route 27, Route 135, and Routes 8 and 11.
So
Such terms and conditions of the final agreement, subject to review and approval by the board.
Okay, so we'll insert that line.
And then a draft
Insert the word
copy.
draft and include the, to proceed with the voting by secret ballot on the following question.
Right.
So we need to do a little bit of tweaking.
Well,
Lorna.
see, it's got here to proceed.
Yeah, I've got, if you see this sheet,
What does that mean?
it's not in your binder, it's, I did it.
It was on the table.
Because this
Oh,
was
it's on the
in
table.
addition to our minutes.
Oh,
Oh, great,
The
okay.
amendment to the minutes was to be included, so if you look on the back side of that, at the very top, Article 1 has the warrant article that Mary referenced that she has posted to our website. And then right underneath that, you'll see bold italicized
Oh, the
print
warrant,
is
okay.
the language Phil provided.
Oh, okay,
So if you, what we'll do is we'll update the warrant articles to the bold italicized copy, and we'll include that last line Mary has already, which says a copy of the cooperative agreement is on file with the town clerk's office. We'll simply insert draft, a draft copy of the cooperative agreement.
right. And aren't we the Board of Select Persons?
Right.
Yes, I believe that's, well, that, I think that's what, no. Mary, you have
No.
Board of Selectmen on the warrant articles?
as does Phil.
It was, the original was Phil's warrant article that he wrote.
Yeah, this,
Okay, we can just
what's
change it.
on this sheet, I copied it
Yeah, we
from
can
the
just change
sample
that to,
ballot.
we
Okay,
can just change that to Select Persons.
that should be the Board of Select Persons.
All right,
I'll
so,
fix that on Monday.
Okay, Mary, thank you.
all right, so what I'd like to do is we need to take a vote to rescind our votes from the previous meeting. If we're gonna change the warrant articles, because we voted to move that article forward and it was 4-1. So,
No, it was 5-1 to move it forward, it was 4-1 for recommendation.
for recommendation, okay. So Ricky, will you rescind your original vote to move it forward?
Yes, because I'm gonna vote against it anyways.
Okay. Dan, will you rescind your original vote?
Yep, yes.
Barbara?
Yes,
Carol?
Yes,
All
I'd
right,
like to
well-
tell you my reasons why too.
Okay, well, hang tight one sec. Okay, so the board votes 5-0 to rescind the vote on Article 1's, on the warrant article number 1 from the September 6, 2022 meeting. Now I'll take a motion to approve the language of Article 1 as amended, which will read to proceed with the voting by secret ballot on the following question. Shall the town authorize the Board of Select Persons to enter into a cooperative agreement with the Maine Department of Transportation for the installation, maintenance, and operation of a community water system to remedy the salt contaminated properties generally bounded by but not limited to Route 27, Route 135, and Routes 8 and 11. Such terms and conditions of the final agreement, subject to review and approval by the board. A draft copy of the cooperative agreement is on file with the town clerk's office. I will make that motion.
second,
Okay, so moved by me, seconded by Dan. So this is the vote is to move this warrant article forward to the voters in November. So it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none. Barbara,
yes,
Carol,
yes.
Dan,
Yes,
Rick?
No,
Okay, so you don't want to move the article forward and not recommend like you did last time?
I don't want anything to do with it because there's more to this story that I need to say. And
Okay.
maybe after I say it, I think,
Okay, so hang tight. So Ricky, so 4 to move it forward, 1, no. Now we're at select board recommendation. Barbara. Carol,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Rick,
no,
okay, 4, 1 against. Okay, Rick, go ahead.
you know, the state has been sweetening the pie all the time on this. If the town should decide to put a highway department up there or a fire station up there, how do we have any proof that this is gonna be able to supply that with water too? We don't. But they keep sweetening the pie so that everybody buys into this. Well, I don't think this is fair for the rest of the taxpayers. There's gotta be a better way that anybody else can hook into this too. And a well isn't the answer, as far as I'm concerned. So that's why I'm voting no. I think they're shoving it down our throats.
So
And I'm
Ricky,
just-
well, the intention of this water supply system would not be to provide water for a fire station or a public works garage. We've clearly stated in the agreement that these that were already identified as being affected would be the only ones locking on to this public water system.
So what are you
So-
gonna do up there? What would you do up there if we build a building and the water's contaminated? Which it could be.
We could hook into that, Rick. All we have to do is we have to add another storage tank if we go above a certain amount.
But is it gonna have ample amount of water? You're gonna have people living in a fire station, probably, year round.
They told us that well would supply additional tanks.
I know what they told us. I mean, they can tell you what you want. I just don't think this is right. And that's why I'm voting against it.
Do you have a better plan?
I
'Cause
think,
we've tried a couple
yeah,
ones.
I like the idea when we talked about hooking in from the city of Augusta or someplace like that, because we have an
won't do it.
option.
They
What?
won't do it.
Who won't do it?
City of
The
Augusta.
city of Augusta has already told us no.
No, that's not true.
They said it was too expensive and they don't have any intention of going past North Augusta Market area where they are now. That they do not want to come any further.
Well, maybe that's what you heard, but that's not what I heard. So anyways, there's other ways. This isn't a good deal. Not for the taxpayers in Belgrade, not for 13 places. Not a good deal.
Is there anything else on this one? All right, so we're just finalizing that. Okay, next up, we have the Minot Hill Road chip sealing discussion. I'll take a motion to open that item.
So much.
All right, moved and seconded. That is open for discussion.
So I met with Doug Fowler of Allstate about 2 weeks ago and had him come over and look at the road and see what his thoughts were. Because it's rough. And he said, no, he said, that's, basically the way it's supposed to come out. So I'm like, okay. Didn't say much, and then come back and met with the new town manager, and she started going through the contract with me, and she had pulled up, and she had found where it says to repair all potholes and the major depressions existing in the surface before the contractor shall put down the chip seal. So that's where we stand. Go back and say you didn't do it, or
So I thought our understanding on that was that we were gonna square out the potholes.
we did fill potholes,
So,
but there's major,
yeah, I came slow up there last night just so I could check how many to-dos, and there
Right.
were 3 on the up of the hill.
yeah, we paved in all the potholes prior, it had been done 90 days before they did it, which we did it plenty of time before, so. What's there now, I guess, was depressions and whatever, I mean, I don't know what to say. Shimmer.
It
So-
also says in the agreement that there's a guarantee of 1 year.
Right,
So you've got that, you've got the fact that they were to follow all of the information on the bid specifications, which it does say that they are supposed to fill areas that needed it, et cetera. You've got potholes, other areas of pavement failure, and major depressions in the existing pavement service shall be repaired by the contractor with asphalt concrete, and then you've got a 1-year guarantee on the work and the materials. It would, we could check with Phil, but it would be my opinion that the town has a leg to stand on to at least withhold the final payment until your concerns are addressed and it's fixed to your liking. Because you have their last payment on your
On the
AP
warrant
warrant tonight.
do you anticipate that there will be more potholes, more depressions coming, or do you think what's there is what we're gonna end up with?
I've never dealt with chip seal, to be honest with you. I know like paving, they grind the road, redo it. This chip seal is all new to me.
Did they do anything to the road in preparation, like fill in potholes and?
They didn't do nothing to that, so they did east-west, they shimmed that.
Right.
I don't know why they didn't. I don't know, they shimmed east and west, and that come out, I think that came out pretty good, there's not much. But
Yeah,
that's just,
there's one kind of
yeah,
dip there, but
yeah, so, but Minot Hill Road didn't come out as well, so.
And this is gonna get a lot more traffic than east-west.
But where it says preparation, potholes, other areas of pavement failure, major depressions shall be repaired by the contractor, but you're saying that you did that. You repaired the potholes.
So they wanted us to do the potholes prior, back when Anthony was here.
Right.
We had met with Allstate, we had talked about it, and, so at that time, I said, yep, I would go, because we were all cold patching and that, but we filled in with pavement, so they didn't get worse. Because they were afraid that the potholes were gonna get bigger and everything, so we did our job and filled them in with pavement, and no more was really said. I started dealing with Pike, and I did all that work, and everything went smoothly. And Allstate was like, because we had the problem back with east-west.
Right.
And then one day he's like, I'll be there tomorrow. I'm like, okay, when? And then certain time he wasn't there, then all of a sudden he showed up the next day and did it. So I mean, I don't know what to say. Like I said, the chip seal is new to me. Haven't really dealt much with it, so.
well, I expected it to be rough. Because that was the biggest, when Allstate first came to me, probably, well, it was before Anthony, so 4 years ago. The big complaint was the roads that had been done in Gardner area and that they were rough. And then, fast forward 4 years, now folks are like, yeah, those roads are great now.
Yeah. I would say that.
So you kind of anticipate, I anticipated that it was gonna be rough. I didn't have any, false notions about that. I knew, we were gonna get the scatter initially. But like the pothole that's coming at the top of the Minot Hill Road, I don't remember that pothole being there prior to the chip sealing.
I guess I haven't seen that. Is that just like
I
really?
see a circle, it
Yeah,
looks like
I
somebody
see
made a
that,
circle
yeah.
there.
That's
I
just,
didn't see
so,
a pot.
and that's why I'm thinking that's a pothole starting, but I'm like, dude, that's like the size of a manhole cover.
Yeah, I don't know if they like build asphalt mix there and made a circle. I don't know
Yeah,
if
I
they
don't-
stopped there like the truck.
Yeah,
that
I
has a
see that
spreader.
there, but it's a perfectly round circle,
Yeah.
so I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah, because like I don't know how they lay down that liquid asphalt, but like a sander, you've got the spinner on it. So I was wondering if it was like going real slow and put a little extra asphalt there, but I'm just guessing. I don't know.
Right.
Is it indented at all? Or is it just like a black?
Yeah, it looks like a circle, and I was kind of like, oh, I was thinking that, like, now there's a new pothole
Right.
that I don't remember being there before, because it was more coming
Because
down.
you can
the
almost see
Minot.
like a line too, like straight across the road where they started and stopped. With like the asphalt, because I
Yeah.
noticed it's like a straight line, so I didn't.
So when you weren't able to be at either that one or the east-west lane, so you haven't seen. So
I didn't see him
that's-
put it down, being completely honest, with you. Did
That's
not see him
kind of-
put it down, because like every contractor, I'm gonna be here tomorrow, and then, that job went longer than I expected,
Right,
and Lake Pike, they were there for 3.5 weeks. I couldn't be there every day watching every move they make,
right.
because you gotta have some trust in these guys, because if
Well, that's why I wondered, like, if Morris, I know he didn't agree to be on the road committee. But I remember one of the things he used to do was he'd go out spot check them and do surprise visits while they were doing stuff, and he'd take samples and.
So are the problem now, is it in the same place where you filled the pothole?
I don't believe so, no.
You know, right now, it's almost like where culverts would be on the road. And one of the spots is where they actually went back and fixed when we had the stuff that sank, remember? When they first did the road, they had to go back and repave a section, and it's almost like where that hump was, or they had to repave it. It's kind of made it worse. You know, because it's really straight across the road. It's almost like hitting a frost heave on a culvert.
Yeah.
Right, and that
And-
was my only concern, is that that's gonna fetch up the snowplow this winter.
And he said they were preserving the road, not making it smoother.
Which was the goal, was the
Keep it
purpose of the
from
chip
falling
sealing was
more,
that, so that we could
breaking
get
it
through
out.
this 3-year project. And
Yeah.
before we,
It was more to preserve the road than to make it smoother, other than potholes. I
Right,
guess,
right.
other than, so. And in his bid here, he's got on the east and west, he does have in shim, and on Minot Hill, he doesn't have no shim cost in that.
then I wondered if it has something to do with this leveling course shall be placed on plain milled or existing surface by the owner. Were we supposed to do something there else before they came? Like, what is a leveling course? I'm assuming that's shimming it.
I have no way to put the leveling course on now,
Right,
that was not mentioned to me. I don't see where you see that.
because it says if required, so under construction procedures, let's see, it's almost second page from the end.
That's on the big specifications.
Yeah, it's under the bid specifications, the contract bid specifications. So, and then the preparation, did you find it yet?
No, but you can tell me, sorry.
Here, so I put in one here, so we did the potholes, but then next one says that the leveling course shall be placed by the owner of the plot. So, but they didn't tell us we had to do it.
Right. Yeah, because I have no way of putting a leveling course on.
Right.
That's actually part of the bid specifications. It looks like the town put that out as part of the RFP. Is that right? What you're looking at, Melanie?
So
I don't think so, because that's specifically about the chip sealing. I think that page, construction procedures, must have come from Allstate.
I tried to get his company tonight, but he said he couldn't make it, but
He's probably tired of doing it, don't you?
Maybe they'll come next week to get their money.
So this
I
could
hope
be
we have to do chip seal one again.
just fill it with-
paving went smooth.
I think,
Facilities been nothing but
your agreement says that the contractor shall furnish all of the services, materials, and perform all of the work as described in the request for proposals and specifications titled request for bid, blah, 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 which is this information where Melanie, you were just reading about the leveling and where we looked at the potholes. That's in me looking at it says, okay, we have an agreement with this company to do this work, and this is what they are supposed to adhere to. The contract bid specifications, which is filling the potholes.
Yeah, but that contract bid specification also says it's up to the owner to do that
The leveling,
level. We are the owner,
yes.
so.
But the contractor has to fix potholes, other areas of failure and major depressions in the surface. So if there were issues with it, this says they are supposed to fix that.
Right.
I think it's gonna cost us more money to fight this.
You think?
I think we're stuck with what it is right now. Basically chip sealing, all chip sealing is taking commercial grade driveway sealer. You put on your asphalt at home and putting it down.
Yeah,
The rocks on top, to protect actually the sealer. So it gives you a hard course to plow over without scraping the asphalt, liquid asphalt, crack seal off.
Yeah.
Sort of amounts to.
Yeah, it's like, it's major crack sealing job that you do the whole
Covering the
road.
road, that's what you're doing.
I just had crack sealing done and I just spent $10,000 on crack sealing 3 roads around. here, so. Crack, so, just spent what, $100,000.
I mean, we can hold off paying them out of this warrant, check with Phil, but
We see potholes coming and I think we got something, but if it's just like, yes, ma'ams, I don't know if we got, I mean, if get real potholes. I don't know. Or for whatever everybody else wants to do.
Let me see,
Fight it.
where does it say we have a year?
If you look at the agreement, so the chip seal agreement, page 2, section 6, guarantee. A and B.
Ricky's awful quiet.
Yeah, 1-year guarantee.
We don't have a dated contract.
That's from the date of work. We know we're within a year.
Well, we do, I think we did have a dated contract.
Didn't
We have a
start out good
sign.
with no signed contract.
Signed that.
Well, there's a signed contract, but it's still not dated.
Oh.
Oh.
It's all gone.
All right, so I guess what I would do, my recommendation would be that we pay what we owe them. We keep a copy of this on file, and we check it in the spring and see what we're looking at. If we've got potholes that are coming or things like that, then we take this agreement, we go back to Allstate, and we remind them that within the 1-year time frame. But it does say they can't do it
Can't do anything till June. right?
till June. So that gives us some time to see how it wears through the winter. And we see if we have more issues. I think the only one that the one I was more concerned about was that kind of yes, ma'am, to see if that was gonna fetch up a snowplow. But
We should document, we should have pictures and we should maybe have a video of going at, pick a speed, 40 miles an hour, have a video. So if there's something different in the spring, going over at 40 miles an hour, we know what's happened so that we have something to base it on.
Yeah.
And it may be that we want to send a letter saying we are concerned over it. So we just put them on notice.
well, I think Jason contacted them, having them come back out and take a look at the road.
Yeah, I'll have him
Put
come
'em
back
on
over
there.
you. I'll ask him about that circle. As far as the heaves, I think because the frost every year in the spring. I don't think we have much to stand on that part, but pothole, I think we would.
Yeah.
Because if, you know, he can say, well, the frost was worse this winter and the salt and whatever, made the road heave more. But an actual pothole means that the chip seal is failing, breaking away, and the potholes come back, so.
Right. So does that sound like an okay course of action? Because we're obligated by the contract to pay them once they've completed the work. So it does state that in there.
I mean, unless we had somebody to compare the work to, but there's no other chip sealer out there to come look at their work and say, no, this is a shit job.
Which that was my whole thing with them saying that they underestimated how much the east-west road was gonna take, was I was like, no offense, but there wasn't anybody else to estimate it. You're the only outfit.
Right,
So why would we assume that you wouldn't
Right.
estimate the proper amount?
That's
Yeah.
what chip
That's just,
the chip
Common
seal is all
sense.
new. I mean, you grind a paved road, you grade it, add gravel where you need to, and then repave it, and it's gonna be smooth. But this is like.
We should have left it the way it was.
well, it's okay to try new things, Ricky. We just don't have to keep repeating them. And I think what, the last time this had been tried was what, 15, 20 years ago? So when they first came to the town 4 years ago, I think you were one of them, and Bruce Galusha was like, oh, heck no, we don't want to do that. But then, Gardner smoothed out and everybody seemed much happier with it, so.
That's the kind of reason everybody said, Hollowell Gardner, that's perfect, it's the best thing, and. For
Well,
us,
maybe in the spring it'll be better. I mean, maybe it needs time to settle, who knows?
That road's not gonna get any better. I mean, that road is terrible. I'm ashamed of that road. I would never have those guys back.
All right, so it doesn't really need to be an action item, I guess. Does everybody? Do we need to make an action item? Like, do I need to say?
Not unless you were going to withhold payment.
No, we just,
If not, then
So can you take pictures and document it? So,
Yeah, I'll make sure, I'll go down the road, make sure, any yes ma'am or whatever, I'll mark it, take a picture of it.
Yeah.
Show that there's no potholes. Oh, actually, I'm gonna have him come out and look at it with me and show them what it looks like now, and then next spring, if there's potholes, created, have him. Probably should have something wrote up saying, signed up, think that there is no potholes in it now, and then if we have some next year, how would we do that?
yeah,
I would say it's probably not a bad idea, like draft a document.
Because like that ring, if it does come to a pothole, so all know,
Right, we didn't see that, or that wasn't anything we did. So,
I'd stop and check that ring first before I drag it up there, see if it actually gets followed.
right, I don't
Or
know,
if it's just extra sealer that.
probably, yeah.
Like I said, it's awful perfect in a circle. so.
and I would say, you know what, folks in town are complaining.
Right, yeah, I
So,
told him that.
can you come out here with me? What I want you to do is I want you to actually walk the road or slow down the road with me, and let's take a look at it together.
Mhm.
And, and then initial and sign off, this is the date that we did this, and tell him that in the spring that you're gonna request that he comes back and does it again.
Yeah.
It's our first time doing it, and, we just wanna make sure that,
Stays the same.
right, and that if anybody has a complaint, we have an answer. So. And then that, lets them know we would like them to come back in the spring, and, kind of the heat's off you, like, hey, those townspeople are always bitching, so. So I gotta do my due diligence and just make sure that, what's here is here. All right. We beat that to death?
Yes.
I think so.
Totally.
I don't think there's any life left in that one.
All right, so next up under old business is town office hours. I do have to say that when I said put it on an upcoming agenda, I didn't mean this one, because we'd already said we weren't putting anything else on this agenda. So, and you had a whole bunch of notes that you had sent us, but none of that's included here. So, but I'll take a motion to open that item.
So moved.
All right, moved by Carol, seconded by Barbara. And so says we would like to respectfully request that the board consider changing the closing time on Thursdays from 7 PM to 6 PM. Activity reports generated from July to September indicate extremely low to no activity after 6 PM. As we work to hire a new code enforcement officer, this position adds one person to the two-person shift from 4:30 to 7. Front office staff will be adjusting their hours and working overtime to ensure the Thursday shift will be covered. With sexual activity after 6 PM and allow staff to go home a little earlier, especially with the upcoming winter months. I'll take a motion to open that. Did.
You
Oh, I
did.
did. I did. Moved and seconded. All right, it's up for discussion. And I will just preface it by saying, I'll lead the discussion, that we've looked at this several times, and several times we have said no. And that even if there is only one person who shows up, that one person deserves to be served in those times. It was the only night of the week that we're open. And it's been that way, and everyone in town knows that you can come to the town office and do business from 5 to 7 on Thursday nights. Bruce?
He's muted.
You're muted. If you press your space bar, Bruce will unmute you.
Usually it's in the lower left.
Oh,
You
oh,
gotta
you
hold
were,
it up.
oh. There.
So I agree that we need to stay to the 7 o'clock, or we need to go start opening on Saturdays every day, but every Saturday of a month. I mean, that's the only night that we have time to go. It's no different than leaving the transfer station open to 7 on a Wednesday. It's the same thing. I mean, you need to give the taxpayers a chance to get there, and some of us don't get a chance to get there till 7.
Yeah, I know. Yep. Okay. Anybody else want to weigh in? Ricky, you usually have something to say.
Well, I was gonna, but you did it for me. So
Okay.
I was ready because I was gonna agree, okay, let's go to 6 o'clock, but let's open up more online services for the people. And maybe we can cut back some other hours if that's what we want to do, but I'm not in favor of that, really. I think 7 o'clock is where we should be. And I'm gonna stick to my guns on it, I guess. Thank you.
I just think it's, as long as I've lived here, 25 years. The town office was open late only one night a week, and it was Thursdays. I think we talked about this last time. It used to be Thursday nights. So I'll date myself here, but back when I was a teenager or whatnot, if you wanted to go shopping, the only time the stores were open in downtown Augusta, anything was open late, was Thursday nights. So Thursday night, all the stores would be open until 9. So I think it sort of, that's probably where the Thursday thing came from, was it was kind of a standing practice in a lot of communities that one night a week, they're open a little bit later. Now they're all open later, but you always knew that Thursday night, you could go do something after 5 o'clock. So I know the thought was that if we gave folks a couple of weeks notice, and I just don't think that that's enough. There are too many people who won't know.
Well, and when we have a new code enforcement officer, that's the second person, right? We need to have 2 people in the building.
Yeah.
So the code enforcement officer would always be
Be
here
here.
Thursday
Yeah.
nights. So it'd just be one clerk.
It would just
So,
be one
and so
hour,
everybody
one
just,
person.
everybody, how many people are there? 4 or 5 who rotate?
You have Mary, Charlene,
Yeah,
Deb, and
so they're 4. So
That's
it's one
once a
night,
month.
one night a month.
So Deb works till 7 PM. Deb is, so the only reason that we were gonna do a rotation is because we didn't have a code enforcement officer in place, but that's Deb's shift from 11 to 7. So, and I just want to say, so I agree, with staying open a little later, especially during, most of the year. I will say in the winter time though, we don't have anybody in that office after 6 o'clock. There's just nobody in the office, not even for code enforcement. So that's just a point I wanted to make. And anyway.
I move we leave the office hours until 7 o'clock on Thursday.
Well, actually, we don't need the action if we don't change the hours.
Oh, okay,
So really, it would just be a
No
discussion item.
okay. Let's move along. All right.
Nobody has an opposing. Okay.
Is it appropriate to Or is it
Yes,
possible
I was already gonna do it. Yeah,
to move Stephanie up?
yeah.
Oh, am I yawning a lot? Usually in bed
No,
right now.
you've gotten through old business, you can maybe start new business.
So I will take a motion to move the request from Belgrade PTO to now.
So moved.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. That is open for discussion. What's that?
The paperwork she has to have.
Both, there's 2 pages. Christine said I'm not to leave unless both pages are signed.
Tell her she was supposed to be here.
She's at a bank board meeting.
Oh, she's.
So as PTO president, I was next in
Yes.
line.
Okay, so do I have anything else on this? Do we have an actual spot in here, Lorna, that has this information?
Yes, the very last
Yes, you
thing
do.
under new business.
You do, but you have the actual applications that need to be signed. What we included in the packet was a scanned.
I'm just trying to find it. I'm having a hard time.
The paper that has the code posted on it?
Is it to play bingo?
Request,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes, right.
I was just trying to find it in here. I'm like, everyone, I'm like, what's my header?
I'll make a motion, we accept that, because we always do.
But it's not just Belgrade PTO,
It's
correct?
Augusta Rotary. So we
Right.
split with the Augusta Rotary and both Belgrade PTO and Augusta Rotary put it on. So Christine represents the Augusta Rotary, Christine Devine, and I represent PTO as president.
So that was my thing. is it's
And we
not just
have it at
Belgrade.
Belgrade Central School.
I know,
And Christine's been doing this with me for, I can't even tell you how many years.
I know, but my point was that it's not just, if we just say Belgrade PTO
It's,
and
yeah.
move it forward, then Augusta Rotary is not able to participate.
gotcha.
So we have to put it exactly what the applications are for, which is why I was like, so it's Belgrade PTO and, because in years past, it was the fire department and the Belgrade PTO.
Oh, really?
That's usually the spring.
I would say
Right, so
Belgrade Fire
usually-
Department usually does their own.
That's the library.
Yeah, they're gonna
The
come
fire
out of joint ones. So there's 2 applications, so the first one is for Belgrade PTO, I'll take a motion to accept that. So
Second.
moved by Barbara, seconded by Carol, all those in favor. Ricky,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
all right, 5 yeses. The second application is for, is it Augusta Rotary?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we'll take a motion to accept that.
So moved.
Second moved by Carol, seconded by Barbara. All those in favor. Dan,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Barbara.
Yes.
All right, 5 yeses. If we date this today, is
She's,
that,
as far as I know, she's taking it from me tomorrow morning.
okay, I just want to make sure because it's dated down here the 17th, and do you guys have to have it in a certain amount of time ahead?
I couldn't answer that. I was just told to be here and collect it.
Okay. So what I will do, I'm going to leave the date section blank. and
Okay.
She needs to fill those in.
Okay. I will
Okay.
tell her.
There's the first one. You have the paper clip?
That's the one that was on this one.
Oh, I think they were.
Probably together. There's only room for 3 signatures on it.
Yeah. It's room for four.
That's all right.
All right, so we're, not Barbara to be out there. Yes. We have, is Craig here for the updates on the Dalton property? It's in there. Is that Corey? Corey, I mean. Is that under Victoria's iPad? Corey, is that you under Victoria's iPad?
It might be.
Okay. I want to change your name just when you're hanging out with us. Because that's gonna be forever in the recording.
You're asking a challenging question.
I bet she can help. Oh, okay, so, it's under new business, the next item is Dalton property updates on plumbing, electrical, and facilities maintenance, so by the facilities maintenance supervisor.
So we're not filling in the dates on.
We're not filling in the dates, we're gonna let Chris do it as long as.
My
there's
son just
something.
texted me and said, I'm waiting for you in bed.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's 7. Thank you so much. Have a great night. Bye, Carol.
Hi, stuff. All right, so Corey, all right, so I'll take a motion to open that item.
so moved.
Moved by Carol, seconded by Barbara. All right, Corey, you're up. So do you have your list there?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Well, I did.
What's a Modine heater?
Bruce?
That's a heater that heats off the hot water boiler.
Typically see them hanging in garages or in basements, but they just have a fan built into them. Blows across the coils.
They've had issues with the bottom, the basement of the Dalton property being froze in the past. So that will solve that problem.
We put one similar down to the community center, correct, Bruce?
That was a propane unit. That was a hot dog
It
unit.
it looks kind of the same.
Yeah.
Just hangs.
Okay, so the heat pump hot water tank, I thought the estimated cost on that was 1,500. Bruce, the last one that we were talking about, wasn't it for the, was it the Burgess property, and you said it was 1,500? And this one is 1,800, is it a different one?
That's I believe the same because the price hasn't changed in the last few months. So it's the 1,800 and then you take the rebate off that.
Okay. All right, so on the plumbing and heating, list of items that need to be repaired, new bathroom faucet and rehang the kitchen drain line. Modern heater and installation, oil tank replacement, sump pump and installation, heat pump, hot water tank. Install smoke detectors, install smoke and CO detectors on each floor. Why do we not have those there now if we're renting it?
They should have been there all along with the propane monitors, well, detectors.
So it's just, light fixture in the bedroom. So I don't see anywhere on here, anything about, there was some other stuff in the house itself, like one of the doors is broken. And looked like possibly it was kicked at one point.
The only door that I noticed was the screen door on the outside is hanging a little bit, but I don't remember seeing any other doors.
Bedrooms, Corey, I probably should have, I sent all the pictures that I took when I was over there. I must have had 65 pictures and I sent them all to the
Oh.
group. So, some of the stuff is more cosmetic, but there were a couple, like there was that one door that's in the bedrooms that we were like, why is this still like
I
this?
think it's that back bedroom door.
Yeah, that back bedroom door. So there was a few little things inside.
There's definitely cosmetic stuff. There's some, could stand some painting, some sanding. A lot of the wallpaper is peeling. So there's definitely cosmetic stuff that we would have to work on. I don't know that they would affect the rental of it, but they definitely should be done.
Well, I know we honestly, when we took a look at it, our thought was if we're charging people almost $2,000 a month to live here, there wasn't one of us who was like, I think that's a sweet deal. We were like,
And there's peeling wallpaper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the wallpaper peeling.
Absolutely peeling wallpaper. And there's stains on the ceiling from where the roof has leaked in the past. That would have to be
I say let's
painted.
get this and then worry about get the cosmetics.
Yeah, because one of the things, Corey, of course, is the biggest concern is the roof. I mean, and a little bit of the cosmetic stuff, but the other thing is that we're not generating an income while it sits empty.
Sits idle, absolutely.
That's that extra sheet on your
Yeah,
desk area.
Right.
That came in after our packing.
yeah.
So what do we have for a total to get that building up and running, to be able to rent it again? Do we have a total figure?
Okay, so that's my thing is that,
Right now, it looks like about 50 grand.
You're what? In this sheet, Rick?
It's an easy 50 grand.
And that's not any cosmetic, and that's not taking up the old insulation yet.
I don't,
Yeah.
I mean, if it's more than 50 grand, tell me. Is that,
It's gonna be more than 50 grand. The attic insulation is inadequate. The attic insulation is contaminated and should be removed. The roof is leaking, all the plumbing and electrical stuff.
So
Oh.
I don't see anything in here about the attic and the insulation.
Yeah, it
So
says-
underneath 78, there's not a price to it. It's at the bottom of 78.
Okay.
I
Oh,
had
here-
the attic, okay, sorry, Rick, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I had the attic inspected by, who did it? Terminex did it, who do a lot of attics. They determined that there is bats up there, which I knew there was bats up there. There is also mice and possibly other rodents up there, or have been in the past. So, and you got about an R22 value. State of Maine is roughly an R38, 39 value in insulation, and that is not even close to being adequate.
Okay, because when they came and looked at mine, they said the same thing, like, oh, you could beef up your insulation up here. But 25
Absolutely.
Now, did they give us a quote to come in and do an exclusion?
They did not, because they wanted us to do the roof first, because from us looking at it on the inside with the lights off, you could see spots where the roof is inadequate. And if we get the roof fixed, the rodent problem might solve itself. I had the chimney rebuilt, the top section of it, and reflashed last week or the week before, and that solved the leak and the problem around the chimney. We just need, I'm not sure where else it was leaking. I do know that was leaking, but, and also around the two pipes. So the two pipes have got to be sealed, or like you said, we've got to completely replace the roof to do it properly.
Bruce has his hand up.
Bruce?
So as far as the insulation, you should be able to get Efficiency Maine is doing a lot on insulation for commercial municipalities and the whole 9 yards. So somebody should be able to check in on that. Because there's a few other buildings in town that could use some more insulation, but that, you should be able to get that done for little or nothing for that attic through Efficiency Maine.
Doesn't the basement need some insulation? Haven't they had nice, seem to remember the insulation? in
If
the
there's a
basement?
heater, if there's a heater in the basement, there's no need for insulation down there. The only place that there's insulation is between the basement and the first floor.
Yeah.
That insulation has mostly been taken down
Okay.
or should be finished taken down.
So that doesn't need to be replaced with, because we'll have the heater.
Exactly.
Okay.
Melanie, I got a question, I guess.
Yeah.
Are we at the point on this building that it's no return? I mean, should we just take it down and be gone with it and only have one building there? Looks like to me, we're gonna spend a lot of money and I don't see it generate enough revenue to get it back. It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
So maybe that's an approach we need to take.
So if we generate $1,800 in rent,
You figure 2,000 a month, I mean, so it'll take you about 2.5 years to get your money back.
and then who knows what else.
That's
Well-
if that's all you find wrong.
We also.
Once you get digging, you're gonna find more and more.
It's all wonky.
Yeah.
Remember they changed everything,
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
because we've got to figure out the updated agreement too with the rental company, because all that
that's
stuff
right.
that's in there is not,
I bet it takes us at least 5 years to get our money back.
Bruce has his hand up again.
reverse.
Maybe come up with a total number and put it to the voters in March. I don't know, that's up to you guys. That's just something I'm throwing out there for you guys to roll around with.
Yeah,
Well, that's
I'm
just,
also
it's just
adding it on
sitting for
warrant,
such
article,
a
just
long
sitting
time.
and have to, it's just been
Getting worse.
sitting and it wasn't maintained properly to start with. So with it,
I mean, what's here is what, 48,
and we,
roughly 48.5.
but we don't have the money, we don't have the money in the budget, is what Nick told us last time, to do $50,000 worth of repairs to this house. We do not have the money.
I thought it showed we
So-
had reserve account.
So Melanie, the plumbing side, the plumbing and heating side, that's something that can be budgeted. That's nothing that has to be an emergency done. That's something that can be budgeted down the line. So we don't have to do that for somebody to move in. Basically, to get somebody to move in on the plumbing and heating side would be replace the lavatory faucet and fix that drain for the kitchen. Otherwise than that, everything else can stay. It's been that way since 2007. So it can stay that way, for another rental, and then just budget the stuff in as you go on the plumbing and heating side of it.
But then all the
Definitely
elec-
want to, we
electrical-
definitely want to do the electrical and the stuff that they quoted there for detectors.
And so, and who did that quote? Was that Kaplan?
Yeah, it was Dan McKenzie.
And I think next other thing was that we don't have 50 grand to do the roof. So that we could look at the capital reserve for the water parks and recreation, that there's money there.
Which there is, that's included in your packet toward the back of that section.
Who did we actually get quotes on for the roof? Who actually gave us some
Yeah,
prices?
this one's
There-
out.
There's a company that saw it online from Brewer. And then the other company that came in, he came in with $50,000 for labor only,
Yeah,
no
Jim's?
materials.
Yeah.
And those are the only two we got.
Right, I had the other gentleman,
JD's
give me a call, he saw it online.
Do we ever get a hold of ABL or Fowlers or?
I got a hold of, when we first started this project, the company in Oakland. I don't have it in front of me, but
You get a hold
Strictly
of-
roofing.
they were like half of what we're getting quoted now. Because the reason the roof is so expensive, to point blank, nobody wants to do it. Nobody has the time to do it, so the people that are doing it are gonna get every penny that they can get out of it.
$11,000 for a dumpster.
I know,
I laughed at that.
I mean, the roof over at my house, so, I can call it my house, over at my house, let's call it that, this year. I mean, it's that huge colonial, the 36 by 36 garage and everything else, and that was $30,000, removing all the shingles, replacing all the shingles, put new vents in and everything else, so. I know we can get it done cheaper than $50,000. It's just,
absolutely we can,
Did we actually put out an RFP?
twice.
So we put an RFP twice, and where were we posting it?
Is
So-
Mary still on? I know Mary just put it out, that's
So
where,
it was posted on Facebook, it was posted on the Town of Belgrade website, it was posted in different locations around town, and it was posted on MMA.
that's where we got Eric Day, the GR Roofing. He saw it the last time, you just put that out within a week and a half, right, Mary?
Yes,
So he saw it at that point, gave me a call and asked if we were, had any bids or whatever. I said, no, not yet. And he said that he was interested and he was gonna take a look at it and get us a price. So he did. And then right after that, Corey, you received the $50,000 quote from AD's Carpentry,
Yes,
but that doesn't even include materials. That's labor only,
Right.
which is crazy. I know, I'm like, we were both like, we don't know what to do.
no, I mean, I say physically call Fowler and ABL.
Right. well, that's
Those
what
are
I
the
was
phone
just gonna
numbers
say,
for
and the other
Did you
thing-
call these other two people, Corey Fowler and
To ABL.
ABL?
I
Well,
did not.
I also feel like part of it is, I'm looking back to see what I moved forward, and on August 22nd, we put it on Facebook, but we said all work must be completed prior to November 1, which I think that's our issue. My roof was replaced December 10th. So
Yeah,
think
so
I think
that
we
was, that was the first time we put it out, and we put it out again without a deadline,
we did put it out again with the
without a
no
deadline.
time.
I certainly can make some phone calls tomorrow. The one in Oakland, the deadline was definitely an issue. I'm wondering if it would be worth our while to just patch around those pipes and get a proper quote in the spring, or get us on somebody's spring schedule so that we have more than one or two bids that are trying to make an extra buck.
Well, and I was just looking because someone in town had put out, I was getting into Facebook, but under the Neighbors Helping Neighbors. And there were a couple of people that came in saying that they could assist with, well, ABL was one of them. ABL Roofing did a great job, blah, blah, blah. So there's a couple under there that,
Yeah, I think a lot of those companies don't necessarily look at RFPs.
right.
We're gonna have to reach out to them. So we're looking for.
I had
Corey,
four
what
extra people come in and look at the roof and not one word from any of them. So
What I did, Corey, and what probably would behoove us to do is I went on the Better Business Bureau website for the state of Maine, looked up roofing contractors, and then what you can do is actually push an email to all of those contractors.
Oh,
And
okay.
then up to them whether or not they respond, but when I did that through Better Business Bureau, I got 2 responses right off the bat. So an ABL was one of them, he actually came out the next day to take a look
Yep.
at it and kind of assess it. So we may want to try that one, because we also don't want just anybody doing janky work up there, because we're going to be in the same position.
And
So,
Fowler is the one that's done most of the metal roofs in this town.
yeah. So. And then maybe we get some better prices. I'd like to not let this fall off our radar and maybe bring this back under old business on the next meeting, so that we can kind of follow up with that, knowing that really the biggest emergency is repairing the roof and deciding if, you know, if we're gonna rent it through the winter, what do we need to do inside to get it rentable?
Electrical and cosmetic.
Does that sound?
I certainly, sounds great. I certainly can make some phone calls tomorrow morning and reach out to the 2 contractors you have there and check on the Better Business Bureau website, like you said.
Well, and if you go onto the Better Business Bureau website, the email will actually push over to both of those contractors. But if you want to call them too and follow up and say, listen, we'll just push this over and, you know, we need some recommendations.
So you're looking
can
for
do that.
motion to table this?
We'll just leave that with Lorna. With the phone
Yeah.
numbers on it, so there's nothing-
What was that, Rick?
I was asking if she's looking for motion to table this until the next meeting.
Yes.
Well, I'll make that motion then.
I'll second.
All right, moved and seconded. Thank you, Corey, for that.
You're very welcome.
And I guess probably for the next meeting too, so it's moved and seconded. I'm gonna add a little more discussion here. Let's just make sure from the treasurer what we have available. So from now till the end of the year, what do we have in the Dalton account? What do we have for facilities maintenance that we could use towards the roof? So that we've got a, you know, they can't come in over this amount because we don't have the money.
And is there still money in our emergency fund, or did we allocate that for something else?
Well, it was only $7,500 to start, and then I think Ricky said at the last one, we thought there was about 6,000 left and that we could use that. What was it you wanted to use that for, Ricky?
I've forgotten now, there's so many things we need money for.
That's what we got. No record was in our packet.
That's not just that. Separate account.
Yeah, that's what Nick gave us as part of this packet.
But that's for total recreation, so that 99,000. We can't use it all.
Right.
Because
that's what I'm saying.
that's to run their program.
That's all they've got. We're definitely not gonna have.
Well, we definitely don't have another
that kind of
50.
money.
Got a bench I'd like to sell you.
And in the meantime, too, check with that efficiency,
That's kind of a-
efficiency main
yeah.
and see what's the deal is on the installation.
Yep, I can do that.
I included that flyer that we got,
Yeah.
efficiency mean.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that building would qualify, but it may.
But you know, we may be at a point of no return. If we look at, we're gonna need another, if you've got to paint and, you know, do all the interior, you got another 5,000 or 6,000 to do that, then, you know, Ricky has a point, maybe you're at a point of no return.
Right.
And if so,
Eventually
then,
knock them both down for a wedding pavilion over there.
And but what?
A wedding pavilion, a big cement slab with a cover over it, we can do weddings over there. Rent it out.
we could have another swimming pool.
All right.
And
So, Lorna, I don't know how
What
we
we
got asked when we do these, like, let's not put action and stuff on on all of them. I think some of them are gonna be discussion, some of them are gonna be consideration. So I think if we just leave it, you know, kind of where we used to have it, where we just, this is the agenda. Some of the stuff we'll have to act on, but set meeting dates and times, so 2023 budget schedule. Take a motion to open that item. So moved.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded, that is good. So department heads, 929, so we are looking to set.
Did you take a vote on
I don't think
the
Oh, tabling it, no.
motion?
Oh,
Yeah, I was just thinking that same thing.
All right, so Ricky motion. Carol
I
seconded.
seconded.
Okay, all those in favor, Ricky. Just for tabling, Ricky.
Yes,
Okay, Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
all right, good catch. 5 tablings.
Okay, that's yours.
Right. All right, just a schedule for the budget process. All right, so. We started, so timeframe meeting with the department heads. Sarah has agreed to be the budget chair, correct? All right,
She's reluctantly shaking her head.
No, I, the actions, I can speak. I was ambushed on that.
She's
I was
reluctantly
the last
shaking her
one to
head.
walk in, and they already had made the decision. I had no choice into that. And I tried to pedal out of it. Right behind.
So basically, the only question for us in this is whether we're available on the 20th and the 14th.
Right.
November 20th, 12:14 and 1:10.
20th, I'm good.
20, 12, 14, what time do we want to do it?
I think 11:20 looks like a Sunday, is that
It's all
correct?
day, that's the.
Yeah,
all
it's
day.
usually all day. It's
On
what
a
it used to be.
Sunday?
Yeah.
yes.
Well, last year we started at 11.
And then remember what happened?
Right,
Then we
We
split it
didn't
into
get
2
through it all.
meetings,
Well,
and we
then
didn't get
people
through
had
it
to leave
all.
early. I mean,
right.
I have church that morning, so I will take time to go to church and come back. So,
I
You
also
can move
go to
ahead
church
without me.
on Sunday.
so
Would Saturday be better?
I'm not taking the day off.
Oh,
I'll take
that's
day
right,
off
you
from
were.
work.
Day works for me. The following Friday, I'm gonna be out of the country.
No, that's Thanksgiving weekend, so you probably
Until-
don't want to do it then.
December 3rd, so. So the 20th works for me.
20th, I'm open.
well, I think that time both you and Dan had to go somewhere too. So maybe we just block it and plan to work till 7 or 8 if we have to that day. Start at 11 and go.
We can, as long as all the other people. It's
So whatever, or you can work around me. I mean,
What time is your church?
We go to New Vineyard, so we usually leave the house by 10 and we're back around 1 or after. Would that be right, Mr. Nichols? We're usually back by 1-ish, 1:30 from church on Sunday,
So you wouldn't be able to start until 2.
right? Unless we did it a different day.
I start at 9:30, so we're done at 10:30.
Melanie works every Saturday, so. We're on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm done by 8 anyway.
Huh?
I'm done by 8 on Sundays. Never what next.
That's Corey. May not know that we tabled. Corey, we tabled the item for the repairs.
So if 4 people can be here on the 20th. What's it, no. No town manager.
Really need that bad. It's a budget we ask questions of.
Right. So. Open to suggestions. What do you think, Rick?
I'm fine. We definitely need to start earlier, though. We need to start by 8 o'clock or something like that, so we can get done.
That's how we always, well, that's how we used to do it, and then when we tried to change it up, everything got too cattywampus.
That's right.
But I think there was something last year, you had to leave early. I don't know if it was a funeral or something. I mean, you can never predict
No.
Right,
when something
And
like
like-
that.
if
and
somebody
like-
dies, I'm gonna go,
Right, and
Right.
like I told,
especially when it was the only time.
yeah,
Right, right.
and like I said last year, I mean, it is a selectman. I'll have the budget packet, you know, if it happens, if something falls on a date I can't be here, I'll have the budget packet. I can ask questions. We won't be doing the final vote until later on.
No, but this, so this first one, this is the shakedown. This is the one where we are normally going through line item by line item. What do we need to keep? What do we need to get rid of? What happened last year was we got blocks of things instead of line items, which is why everything didn't line up as properly as it should. So we do need to get back to the process that we had before. And we've got to figure out what kind of a day works like that for people. So,
So I mean, if we can schedule things that we don't necessarily need the town manager as much for,
In the morning.
within the time frame that, you know, we come in here early. We may have to come in early, they may have to leave and come back.
and you would be going, what did you say, 10:30 to 1:30?
Church First starts in New Vineyard at 11.
Okay, so you probably have to leave here at
10,
10
an hour.
and then be back at 2.
I'll just, we can give it up, I guess, for that.
Well, like I said, if we can work around, as long as we're not doing municipal government, you know, the office stuff and, you know, we do stuff like cemeteries and things like that
Right.
during those times. Some of the ones that are a little easier to get through that we don't have quite so much back and forth with the ledgers and the budgets and stuff.
Right, so we may just have to tweak how we. Yeah, but we can't use a 4-hour block in there, having people there, because then
But we normally take a
That
lunch,
process
we normally
doesn't-
take a lunch in the middle of there anyway.
you know, we usually do at least a half hour for
Right.
lunch.
So, I mean, we'd probably lose maybe 3 hours.
Okay, well then the Wednesday, the 14th, that would be in the evening.
Right, because that's usually a follow off. Bar, language and stuff.
Like 5 o'clock or something, 5 to 8 or 9.
Well, oh, yeah. It's really Ricky, because you're off on Wednesdays right now, Lee.
Sort of, yes. I'm going in
So,
tomorrow.
so depending on Rick and Dan, what time you guys could get available. It will be dark early then,
Right,
so maybe we could.
very
I don't
early,
know,
very
start-
early,
Or, huh?
very early.
Yeah.
It's almost as
Start as early as we can on the.
I can work with it, it's gonna depend on Rick.
Okay,
Okay. Okay, so do we need to take any action on this?
And
or
we'll
just-
be doing this as, will we be Zoom participating? Or are we gonna require that the departments come in? Which it used to be an all-day
I
session,
would say
and we would have all the
I would say
departments come in. And then I think when we tried to do too much Zoom with it, everybody didn't have all the information at their fingertips that you might need that we would have here in the town office.
So the department heads come to the budget committee and then also to the select board?
And present their budget.
Sure, the way it goes, just have them come in like they do, it's not the way they used to do it. Seemed to work fairly well.
And is this enough time for the department heads? Because the other thing is that we want the department heads to be able to work on their own budgets. So I feel like we have a lot of newcomers. So,
But they already will have met with the budget committee in October. The meeting with the budget committee, October 12th and November 9th. So they should have their budgets, you know, pretty well in hand at that point. And then I think the 110 is probably in 23, not 22.
Yeah.
Time
Go
travel.
backwards.
Well, if we're gonna do, I mean, if we're gonna do the 20th, do you want to start at 8 and go? I mean, I'll just go out and come back. I can leave at 9:15, be back at 10:30 or so,
Yeah, hopefully, like I said, we're doing some of this
you know,
simpler budgets at that time anyway, so there wouldn't be so much questions.
right?
Yeah, I mean, the earlier we started, the better. Yeah.
Does
That's fine
anyone
with
want to
me.
start before 8?
no,
No.
No, okay, all right. I hope that wasn't the only one.
all right, so
I'll be
8,
here.
so 8 AM. 11:20. And then what we'll try to do is do,
I mean, assuming that works for the budget committee, because they have to be here also.
That's right, yeah.
I'm flexible.
We'll just say that the chair said that they're all set.
the chair said he's
I-
all
I-
be here.
I
at
have
8
a
o'clock.
phone. I don't think the rest of the committee.
The ambush chair. Okay, anything else on that?
Okay, so 8 AM to.
And then
we'll kind of look
December-
at our blocks and
December
things.
14th, can we aim for 4 o'clock? Ricky, can you do a 4 o'clock in the winter?
I'm home a lot more than I was, believe me. Yes,
Okay, let's try the 14th at 4. That gets us started a little earlier.
Good idea.
That's quite a struggle for me.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, you know, there's certain committees that the heads work full-time too, so we can't assume for them that they can be here at 4 o'clock.
That's right.
I mean, the earliest I could get out of work would be pushing it, be 5:30, maybe 6, but 5:30 would be pushing it.
Say, it's Thursday, December 14th.
Wednesday.
That's a
Oh,
Wednesday. What if?
Well,
What
could
if
we
we
work
looked at-
and maybe start with some other committees at 4 o'clock that could get here early?
Well, he's on the
Bruce
budget
is on the
committee, so
budget
it's.
committee.
Oh, he's on budget,
approving.
I'm sorry,
Right.
okay.
So
Start at
what is
5.
everyone's thoughts of doing it on an off week with the select board? So we'll be here the 6th and the 20th for board meetings. So what if we say the 13th at our usual meeting time at 6:30?
That works for me.
Well, Can we
Why
try
the
to push it
budget?
a little earlier if we can, if Bruce thinks he can get out 5:30 or so?
Do you think 5:30 or 6, Bruce? And we
I
don't
can,
need to eat.
I'll put, right now I got nothing sorted for that day, so I'll put it in for 5:30.
So the December 13th at 5:30.
Why did the budget committee want the 14th?
No, that's 13th is a Wednesday.
13th
Yeah.
is a
It's a
Tuesday.
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 I'll be fine with that. I was thinking that 14 was a Thursday, so that fits for me planning board. So,
Okay, so 14th was just an arbitrary day.
that's right.
Okay. So now it's the 13th?
Yeah, the 13th at 5:30.
13th at 5:30, right?
Are we doing the 14th as well, or we've changed Wednesday to Tuesday?
We changed Wednesday to Tuesday.
Wednesday to Tuesday. So adding the 13th, throwing out the 14th. Then that gives us time to, if we have to come back with another meeting before we do the approval in January, if there's any more tweaking that needs to be done. And then 110 is the regular. 110 will be the off week from the board as well.
Right.
So what time do we want to do that one? Do we want to say 5:30 again?
What date was that, Melanie?
January
That would
10th.
be Tuesday, January 10th.
Travis is not going to be
Well,
happy
it's-
with
they've already got that down here, final budget with select board.
I said
on
Travis
110.
is not gonna be happy with me.
No,
Travis, new share insurance.
oh,
Don't they? They
Yeah,
already
right,
have
that falls
January
on
10th
you.
for final
Yeah,
budget.
all of these are
Right.
my new share
But
board
we
of selectmen
don't have a
dates.
Oh,
What was that? What did you just say, Laura?
The Tuesdays on your off weeks are my new share board of selectmen meeting dates.
When we do,
They'll
So
have to meet without me.
Wednesday, go back to Wednesday.
that's part of the ones.
Why did we?
No, why, we changed it from Wednesday to Tuesday. I'm not sure why, but. That's fine. They can meet without me or change the date. We've done it before.
I can do Wednesday in December. Your call.
December 13th at 5:30. Instead of the 14th, and then we've got Tuesday, the 10th, but we don't have a date plugged in there.
time.
Sorry, Tom. Yeah.
Fun juggling that many balls. Isn't it? That's gonna be the one for me that I have no idea if I'll make it or not. I'm elected again. I could be in session that day, you never know. But that's fine.
okay.
Okay, so we're
Are we
gonna
all
keep it on
set?
December 13th?
Stick with it for Tuesday.
So both Tuesdays.
So we just need a time for January.
A Sunday and 2 Tuesdays.
That's
That's
right.
right.
Well, let's keep it at 5:30. The other one was at 5:30.
Yeah,
We can, I don't know if you're gonna need that much time that day, hopefully. This is just the remaining finalized,
then we could get home earlier.
as long as Bruce and some of the other ones.
Well, and if we get through everything in
Yeah.
the earlier meeting, then we could start it at 6 o'clock, so 5:30.
Can you guys refresh me what day was the Sunday?
20th,
20th?
November.
November 20th.
November 20th.
So we'll say tentatively 5:30 at this point, but that one we can always change depending on what we have left today.
Right, the 20th is 8 AM.
And what time is it?
8 AM. Right here. And hopefully somebody will bring coffee and donuts. So-
I can bring coffee.
So we can. I can drive myself.
I got a French press.
Okay,
We'll just have to set up lunch, so we'll get some lunch. break.
Okay,
Okay. All right, next we have the warrant. We'll take a motion to open that item. So moved. I'll second it. All right, that's open for discussion.
moving along.
Warrant middle.
So the stack of items that are in front of you, Melanie, that need to be signed, you have an AP warrant, a B&B warrant, and a payroll warrant. Nick gave me the B&B warrant today.
Yeah, so apparently. So we would do these separately. So we would do the AP warrant will be the first one. It's warrant number 106, in the amount of $1,149,265.29. So that is open for discussion.
Well, and we agreed we're gonna pay all states The 85,000 we owe them. Yeah, the only question I had, and it just is over on page 8, yeah, 8. Internet for the North Belgrade Community Center is $118. Is that recurring or is that 2 or 3 months together? That was the only thing I,
Which page was it?
page 8 under Spectrum.
Well, this was the question that we had, wasn't it, that internet was ridiculous, and we brought it up at the last meeting.
Yeah.
That we're
We
not,
should, I mean, I can't imagine we're paying $117.
or it's essentially a Wi-Fi hotspot. So, because if that's the case, we'll take it right back up.
The library is 88 and that serves the same. A lot of the same, I mean,
Right.
it's used a lot more because they need it all day.
Right.
So Melanie,
Yeah.
yeah, it's Mary. So when we got the quote initially, it was the wrong quote, and Nick found out that it was $118. And it is a Wi-Fi hotspot. It offers an opportunity for people to go outside, just as they do at the library. The library gets a reduction because they're considered part of education, and libraries have a lower fee. So, I mean, it's up to the board if they want to take it out. We have used it for our movie Mondays, and but the fee that was given to Nick initially was not the right fee.
So I would hold him to that quote. 'Cause- But I don't know. I feel like $985 a month for internet is a lot of money.
It's $985 a year. Right? It's
No,
$118 a month, or 100.
No, what I'm saying, Mary, is we're paying now $985 a month to have internet services in town.
Oh, for all of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we have
We're
all these,
Starlink.
we have all these different buildings.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one question for the North Belgrade Community Center is, are people using it outside, the way they use the library? I know you use the library from time to time.
Well, yes, I
Sit in
did
the
have,
parking lot.
I had to get in a couple of meetings down
Yeah.
there because
I
I
know,
didn't have
I
anything
know.
at home. Center for All Seasons gets used quite a bit too. I just think that we weren't anticipating it was gonna be $120 a month for a building that sits empty 90% of the time.
Well, we didn't know that it was going to be that much either initially.
Mary, do you know if other people are, sitting in the parking lot using the Wi-Fi?
I do not know. I'm not up there a lot, Carol. I do know that the food pantry has used it just when they're there. But I'm not sure.
Sure.
It provides a service to people in North Belgrade too, if you want to look at it that way. It also provides that service up there that is available in the Belgrade Lakes area, in the Depot area. So it's up to the board.
Yeah, and it could be helpful to people who come to the food pantry. They could use Wi-Fi while they're there. Clients.
I mean, part of me wants to hit up Spectrum and tell them that we now have internet in more locations than we did initially, and that we would like them to evaluate our contract and give us a better deal.
Or see if they can do anything based on, apparently we've kept adding on, so maybe now they can look at the whole contract for us.
I'm guessing, Mary, you've done treasurer work here previously. I'm guessing all of these are separate accounts, correct?
They are all separate accounts.
That's how the CMP does the same thing.
Yeah.
First Light used to do the same thing in Buckfield. It's, you get a statement for, it's all separate there, but they don't view them as combined. It's not one account with all of these locations. They're all separate.
Right.
Yeah.
Separate accounts, separate locations, separate account numbers, everything.
Yeah,
All I
separate
have for
accounting.
this is if you have CMP, and you've got a building you're not using, you may have a minimum charge, it's like $30 to have the service there. They're not charging $120 if nobody's hardly ever using it. So there's gotta be a way to talk to these people and see if we can get some kind of a better rate for this many places.
We could have Nick try to call them, talk to them, but he had difficulty the first time. We thought it was a whole lot less. And then come to find out, he was speaking to the wrong person, and the person that he spoke with the next time that finally we got the installation done, which took more than a month to get done. And he told him he was given the wrong number, so.
Spectrum is awful with customer service, so.
Yes,
I-
they are. They are.
They're horrible. Well, maybe we evaluate when you're putting together budget next year, look and see if it, how that cost justifies with what we're looking to do.
It is a service.
Just pay it for now
Yeah.
and see if we can find a way to get them to reduce it. If not, we call it consolidated.
The only problem with consolidated is Starlink, well, they don't have any customer service after 5 o'clock, which wouldn't affect a lot. Consolidated, that's when everyone's issue with them is there's nobody on the weekend. And if your service goes down after 5, there's no one to assist you. I know that that fiber optic company, Belgrade, is on their list of towns to go to. Is it, it's like, looks like Pajadu or something. I forget exactly
There's a
the
bunch of
name.
them
but-
around here right now.
Well, it starts with an F, but anyhow, they're in Augusta right now, running the fiber optic cables, and Belgrade is next in line. So it might be worth contacting, looking them up online and seeing if they, once they get to Belgrade, if Spectrum, once Spectrum has some competition, they're gonna have to look at things differently.
I know they're gonna bring, I think they're bringing fiber through New Share. I think it's gonna be $75 a month for the first year, and then it's gonna be well over 100.
Because what I looked at had
That one.
essentially the service that I have, the same service I have now, that Time Warner, it was $24.99 when they brought it by Spectrum. They held that for a while, and then they went to $40 and then to $55, and now I'm at $74.99 and they haven't added anything.
And commercial is different than residential.
Right.
It's always high.
Is there any way we can try to get an education discount on the North Belgrade Community Center? Because of programming we do,
It's worth an ask.
you can say we have
It's a senior center.
the senior center and we have senior services. Maybe there's a little bit of a discount there. Nick could try. If Nick's the one who
You
does.
even mentioned food pantry there.
Food
Yeah.
pantry-
Food pantry, yeah.
Food pantry and senior.
See what we can do. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Just spend all
Other than
my
that,
days.
that's all I had.
What is the water for the band? Second page, very last thing, water for band. What is that?
So I'm assuming that we're providing bottled water. with-
Why would we be providing bottled water for a band?
Well, we have water for the crew over here. So water for the crew, 1673, water for the band. And why are they going on the credit card?
What page are you talking about?
Bottom of page 2.
It's probably a courtesy for people who are performing.
Right, well, that's what I'm thinking.
$25.
What's the food
Yeah.
for the crew?
$25 and water for crew is 17, so 16.
Yeah, and food for crew is kind of a,
What's the food for the crew?
what is food for the crew? It's $65.
What's the crew?
Right,
They may have done a lunch or something for the
So
Yeah.
was that on facility maintenance?
This is
It
facilities.
says, yeah, facility.
So they had like a little luncheon because it was Isaac's last day and he was leaving for the service. So I recall Corey asking if he could do that. So basically, that's what that was.
That's fine.
And then we have another generic water and oil.
Sounds like a vehicle.
What would you need water in?
Where's that?
That is right underneath food for crew. Do you see anything in your packet there under card member services, Lorna?
Page 3.
23028, yeah, so page 3, water and oil.
I have no idea what that is.
So
You
in your
should have it in your
packet, in
file.
that folder in front of you, that's where the backup is for the.
Oh,
water.
I'm sorry.
It's an expensive line for the fire department for the bathroom.
Was that on facility maintenance also?
Yeah.
Because they don't have water fountains up at the garage. So Corey just consolidated a purchase and bought oil for the mowers. Is it to Christie's?
Doesn't say.
No, it just says
Lana's
water and
Lana's
oil.
trying to look it up.
$36 for a smoke alarm. How big is that bad boy?
Here's the water for the band, food, water, food supplies, camp overnight, camp banner, sea dog skiing, extra drinks,
We
paint.
can consolidate it for
That's
tax
not
on
bad.
it. I couldn't look for that. I couldn't look at that.
Right.
Mm,
I said, let's give Spectrum some competition if Consolidated wants to come in.
It's-
Yeah,
we
if
get a
we're
price
using them
on
for the facts and that, what were they doing in it for? Do they do a municipal discount?
I don't know whose card would that be, Mary? The one they're questioning.
Town.
The town credit card.
Yeah, I just wondered whose name, because they're all on.
So it just says facilities general supplies.
Would that be Corey?
And it doesn't say, like, if it's Sam's Club or what the vendor is.
Yeah, so what we've tried to do in the past, Warner, and now we have new staff, is when the receipts come in, they need to be signed off on by the person who's turning in the receipt. And they need to be initialed by the treasurer or someone in the office. So there needs to be 2 on each receipt. So.
Yeah, and Nick usually staples all the receipts right together.
I'm looking, but it's, because I don't know where these were purchased or who purchased these. Because these are done, we really should have like the vendor. The warrant doesn't list the vendor
No,
name, like if it were Sam's Club or Hannaford's or something like that,
no,
it really should. Because you've got to look through all of these statements to see what it is.
it should be right there underneath that, the check number. So everything associated with that check number should be together.
03.
I don't have a check number on here, on the statements.
Somebody puts them in the folder in order.
What is the amount? Oh, I'm gonna, I need for a month, my
0359.
amount.
I don't know what the amount is, tissues, paper towels,
110.38.
summer reading.
That's the oil and water is 110.38.
Yeah,
That's
so,
that's the.
Water for van.
What's the check?
So 110, 38?
21,
Yeah.
22,
Didn't have that.
so 28,
Yeah.
23028.
I didn't see it on there. There's, it's Home Depot, 11038,
There you go.
but I don't have a receipt. I don't have anything.
And that's at Home Depot.
That's Corey Home Depot. 11038, but there are no receipts here. This is the Adobe receipt.
Phew, excuse me.
There. So it doesn't tell me.
All right, so I'm gonna just state, we need to have.
Oh, there's a receipt on this one. This, it looks like the exact same. The exact same. Okay, so I have a receipt here for Home Depot. Bottled water, water deposit. To CF VIG black, 15 at $3.97, and then I've got motor oil.
That's it.
2 at $19.48. So I
And where's
have
it from?
water bottle $4.98, water deposit $1.20, something black, 15 at $3.97, and then motor oil 2 at $19.48, and that's at Home Depot.
Home Depot.
And the total $10.38.
I'm gonna buy my water bottles at Home Depot.
Okay.
Oh, let's see, we're gonna try to treat the town's money as if it was our own and try to shop for the best deals. All right, Rick, did you have anything on this one?
Nope.
All right, does anybody else have anything?
No.
All right, seeing none, I'll take a motion to approve. All right, was second Iris, seconded by Carol, all those in
I wasn't
favor?
paying attention.
Uh,
What's wrong with me?
Ricky,
Yes,
Dan,
except, hold it, wait a minute, whoa. Except I don't want to pay Allstate. So I guess it's a no.
okay. Okay, so no from Ricky, Dan,
yes,
Barbara,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
all right, 4 yeses, 1 no. Okay, Lush. Oh, bless you again. Gotta have one more in my house to give. Good luck.
I always sneeze in threes.
See, we say, you gotta have that. You stopped at 2, you're like, no luck for you. Okay, next we have the payroll warrant. Dated 9/21/22, total amount is $16,804.88. Oh, wait a minute.
He had an additional payroll warrant. I think he left off two people, so you have an additional payroll warrant.
Is that on the table?
Melanie has it,
Okay,
and you also have the, I think it's a BMV warrant. I think that's the one he did today.
okay, so let's start this over. Payroll warrant dated 9/21/22, warrant number 108. In the amount of $463.54. I'll make that motion.
second,
Moved and seconded. All right,
And what is that for?
this is payroll warrant for 1, 2. Well, it's 2. So is this considered a payroll warrant if we're paying Androscoggin Savings Bank and the Department of Treasury?
How much is it for? For 30/60? No.
Does it say payroll warrant at the top?
Well, then it does, so we have, yes, this payroll warrant.
Because down at the bottom of this payroll warrant, it has Androscoggin Savings Bank Department of Treasury, so it's for withholding those taxes. I don't know if they
For
have-
that payroll.
Okay, what would Androscoggin Savings Bank be? Is that a tax payment? Because then on that one, it says double tax payment.
It does?
Yep.
Where does it say double pay? I have Treasurer, State of Maine, Department of Treasury, and Androscoggin
The
Savings.
one that we just approved. So this one. Double tax payment.
This is 18. I would assume that. Is that 3231? It's not even the same amount.
No, it's not the same amount. So that's what we're asking is if this is taxes, what is this? What is this one that we just paid? It says double tax payment. So then we have here, so I mean, we can't decipher if this is tax payment with TNA.
915 was the 15th one.
Oh.
Mary, can you help?
Yeah, so it sounds like Nick forgot someone on the payroll. And when you forget someone on the payroll, you have another tax payment to the state that you have to make. Or so that's what it sounds like, but I'm not sure, did he forget someone on the payroll?
Well,
Yes.
there were two forgotten or.
Right,
one
so
of
there were two forgotten, so you still have to collect and make the tax payment, so he should have just written second tax payment, but double tax payment, the same thing. He still has to collect the taxes for both federal and state taxes from those two people.
But it's a different warrant, Mary. So on the usual warrant that we sign,
Right,
second line down says double tax payment to Androscoggin Bank. And then on each of the payroll warrants, there is,
How much is the amount on, for Androscoggin Bank on your first payroll warrant?
first payroll warrant, the bigger one is $12,646.32.
That's the tax payment?
That's on this payroll warrant.
that's not a tax payment,
That's not
that's just yeah, I'm not looking at it, so it's hard for me to see, but that must just be the payroll warrant. That's the amount that he has to transfer,
That's the direct deposit.
right?
Direct
So
deposit,
Department
okay.
of Treasury would be the 3,600, Treasurer State of Maine would be 530. So this Androscoggin Savings Bank amount is the amount that we're sending for direct deposit to Androscoggin. Same here.
So that's.
So
the taxes that we're
Androscoggin Bank,
taking out, we were depositing, okay.
right, so the 383.60 covers these two amounts, the tax and the actual
Okay,
net.
so is this
to
the
the-
total payroll amount?
Yes. Because we have to pay taxes too. That's the gross pay.
So what is taken out of AP?
There's two people, Deborah and Aaron.
Yep. So this is the total amount, not this.
Correct.
Okay.
Because that includes taxes. That, the larger amount.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
I need someone to walk me through it.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna go back to 9/21 payroll warrant 107 in the amount of $18,121.30. I'll make that motion. Seconded by Dan. So any discussion? Saying none. All those in favor, Ricky,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes,
Carol.
yes,
All right, 5 yeses. Next, we have warrant number 108 in the amount of $463.54. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Moved by Melanie, seconded by Barbara. Is there any discussion on that one? Seeing none. Ricky,
Yes,
Dan,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Karen.
Yes,
All right, 5 yeses. Okay,
Now, do you have a BMV warrant there, Melanie? To sign? State, a state.
What's the warrant that's in our book?
That's a payroll warrant. That's probably 107.
104.
104. Melanie read it as 107.
no, that's a different one. So this is
I only
108,
have
107.
107.
And then over here, we have warrant number 106, warrant number 109. So 106.
so you
so
have-
106 is the one that we just.
You have
approved,
the
big-
last two payroll warrants, correct?
Yep, the last two payroll warrants and then state of Maine. So the next one is warrant number 109. It's the state of Maine BMV in the amount of $9,354.24. So I will make that motion.
second,
All right, moved and double seconded. All right, is there any further discussion on that?
Did Barbara second or Carol? Dan,
Dan and Carol
Dan, okay.
together.
It
I'll put
doesn't
Dan.
matter. I just want to move it forward.
All right, seeing none, Ricky,
yes,
Barbara,
Yes.
Carol,
yes.
Dan.
Yes.
All right, 5 yeses.
So what is this 104 I've got in my book?
Yeah.
For $15,000 or something.
That was September 14. I'm not sure what the dates are on 107, 108.
Okay.
We only had the 104. That's why I think we're confused.
Right, because we did the 107, 108 was this week's payroll.
So we don't want us to initial 104.
Yeah, that was last week, and then the 107, 108 is this week's.
No, I'm just saying, we didn't have them. That's why we're
Right.
sort of trying to figure out where you're at.
So, and this is the one that you signed, and then after the fact, we're like, I'm not supposed to do this. So do we need to sign anything for this one?
104.
104.
It,
We don't
I-
have one here in our sign thing, and that's when you reached out and said that you checked with Phil and that the town manager is not supposed to sign it.
that's your payroll disbursement policy revision. Right. Which was the 15th, September 15th, and that payroll warrant is dated the 14th, correct?
Payroll warrant stated that,
Yes,
yes.
pay date is the
Yep,
14th.
the 14th.
We just want to know, do you want us to sign that one? We don't have a copy of it.
No, because, no, go ahead, just leave it, I signed it. But I did not sign 107, 108.
Okay, and then this Town of Belgrade Board of Select Persons Policy and Disbursement, where did this come from? Because it says adopted today.
That's what Phil sent.
Payroll disbursement policy, is that what you're talking about?
Yes,
Yes.
that's what Phil sent.
That's
That's,
different, actually.
that's,
That's a
it's
different.
a
item.
different item. A different action.
It's
item.
after the health officer.
We have the health officer first and then we have this.
So do we have any more warrants that we have to take over?
No, so
That
the
should be it.
warrants, the
Okay.
warrants will move back down to right before the town manager's report. So any of the warrants we'll put down there so that we take care of any of the business up above that. So then next we have the health officer's resignation action. I'll take a motion to open that item.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, that is open for discussion. So from Jennifer Clements, who is our health officer, dear Town of Belgrade, I am writing to announce my resignation as town health officer effective 3 weeks from this date. My last day will be September 30, 2022. This is not an easy decision to make over the last few months. There have been many shifts in my full-time job responsibilities and family priorities. I've enjoyed working with our community over the last year. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to serve the town of Belgrade. So it's the same thing, issue that we had with the animal control officer, they have a contract. And so what do we do? There's not a, it's not a big stipend, but they were paid a stipend for a year. So do we have money to pay another health officer?
Can we look at in the future paying them monthly?
Did we pay them upfront?
Whenever they issue the payment, I don't remember what time of year it is.
It's usually.
We did, the same thing happened the last time. When
We paid for the year. and
Christine
then-
Merkin got done.
Right.
She had been paid a year and then we ended up
And then
having
we
to pay
ended
Jen.
up having to do a double pay. So now we've paid 2 health officers for 2021, 2022.
And one thing we need to look at is we need to start paying health officers. One of the reasons, one of the reasons the health office getting done is because all your calls like at 11 o'clock at night,
Yeah. That's not.
going out and doing welfare checks. The little bit we're giving them, they're getting a lot more calls than I ever thought they got. She.
Why is she called on a welfare check? What do you mean?
Her and Richard had to go out and do a welfare check.
Oh, what?
I don't know exactly what it was for. So, it's part of, I
In the
guess,
middle of the night?
no, not in the middle of the night, but things that she had to go out and do. I guess we don't pay mileage to them or anything else.
Yeah, they did have to go out and do a welfare check over on the Wings Mills Road. The state called. And so it's required of the nurse, for the town nurse to go out. And so Richard went with her because they thought that possibly there were some violations.
But how often does that happen?
Rarely.
It's going out like that. They are getting, she did get a lot of phone calls, a lot more than she ever anticipated.
What were the phone calls about?
COVID.
Yeah.
Probably COVID. I honestly, I don't know. It comes
I
from
don't
that.
think our health officer in Sharon has ever gotten a call.
I was gonna say. Well, so the bottom line is,
So otherwise we have to accept a resignation.
And
Right.
find somebody
advertise
else.
the position.
right,
Did you check with that?
I did, I haven't heard anything there. I did put a bug out there though, yes, I did.
So, Barbara, you making a motion that we approve, accept the resignation?
Yes.
second,
All right, moved and seconded. All those in favor? Dan,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes,
Harold,
yes.
Barbara.
Yes.
All right, 5 yeses. We, I guess, put it on the marquee, put it on Facebook, put it on the municipal. And
Right now,
figure out,
I know
right now,
Laura-
we're over that line item by 400.
Well, I know Lorna was gonna check with Travis to see if we could just add it. to his duties. It doesn't have necessarily have to be a nurse, it's a health officer.
Yeah.
And the fact that Travis's wife's a nurse might, you could get the advice and stuff from her too, so.
Yeah.
We're just checking with that, so before we advertise it. to see
Okay,
if
I
we-
didn't know who Travis was, we're talking about. She said something about Travis earlier, and I thought it was somebody from New Sharon.
Travis.
Someone
Yeah,
like, whatever
Travis
his
I
Travis.
first
did,
last
I
name
did
is,
say
don't
something
know.
about Travis earlier and that
Yeah.
was Travis. New
So I'm like,
Sharon.
well, why are we checking with some guy in New Sharon about this?
Travis, our rescue.
We have a Travis
Just to see if there's something he can do.
Okay, gotcha. I was over here like, okay, but I'm like, that makes sense, but I'm
If
like,
if it is, if it doesn't, then yeah, advertise it.
all right, next
Okay.
up, we have the payroll disbursement policy. So speaking with the town's council, the board needs to revise the current policy for payroll warrants to be in compliance with state law. So, this reads, take a motion to open this item.
So move.
Moved by Carol, seconded by Bob. And. this doesn't really change a specific person. Okay, so this is due pursuant to blah, blah, blah. The town treasurer is hereby authorized to disperse funds to pay the cost of municipal employees' wages and benefits when the treasurer has been presented with a disbursement warrant signed by one or more member of the board of select persons specifically. And then that's blank. Before dispersing any funds, so are we picking a select person? Is that what we're supposed to be putting in here?
Yes,
And it has to be one particular person?
no, it doesn't have to be.
Well, it does
You
say here,
could-
he says that is, you'll see the specific board member must be designated in the policy. You could simply add the chair or a specific person according to his note.
Right.
When I was when the chair's on vacation.
What if you say specifically the chair or co-chair? If you list two
Vice-
people
Vice chair.
or vice chair.
Right,
Yeah.
and he says that you have to designate one person, which is
But
why
this
we,
says one or more.
Yeah, this is one or
One
more,
or
so why don't
more.
you just put everybody's name down?
But if will we sign this every year? If not, we should put by title. Right? Specifically
It has
the
to be
chair
renewed
or
annually.
by, it has to be done annually?
Annually.
Okay.
Yeah, but even so, I think it should be done by position.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter, as long as one of us comes in, so if we put down everybody's name, as long as one of us comes in, and signs it. It's the way it used to be, and then we turned around and we gave, we decided the town manager to do it, but then we used to see the payroll warrants, the next select board, meeting, we used to catch up on and sign, but we haven't seen them since I've been back on the board.
well, because we gave, wasn't it Dennis, was it Dennis the first time that we gave the authority to?
Yeah, well, apparently we weren't supposed to.
Right, and the reason was because it had to be signed by a majority of the select board, because it didn't have to just be one person.
It was Greg.
It was Greg.
It was Greg. Yeah,
Was some time ago, wasn't it, Mary?
yes, it was. It was Greg.
Gosh, it feels like it was Denny though, Mary, because I remember Denny being in that office to the left of Pam. And
That was
having this
it was
discussion.
2012.
Yeah,
That was Greg.
something else we told Denny to sign on our behalf. All right, so can we do one or more, signed by one or more members of the Board of Select Persons, and then says specifically the chair or vice
Vice
chair?
chair.
You can say that, sure. And we'll just do it annually. So
Right.
if you want to change that,
Right.
you can.
Okay. So before dispersing any funds on a warrant, however, the town treasurer shall satisfy himself or herself that the warrant is indeed signed by the designated board member. The treasurer shall not, however, pay any item on a warrant if payment of that item would result in an overdraft, and shall report any refusal to honor the item in writing to the Board of Select Persons promptly. The chair of the Board of Select Persons shall file a copy of this policy with the town clerk and provide a copy to the municipal treasurer, and shall ensure that this policy is brought to the attention of the Board of Select Persons annually for consideration of renewal. The town clerk shall, after approval by the Board of Select Persons for any meeting in which they have voted a renewal of this policy, attest to such renewal by endorsing the policy below, and shall then file a copy of that policy bearing the renewal endorsement in the clerk's files, and shall deliver a copy to the municipal treasurer. Adopted September 2022.
So that means, so Melanie, I just want you to know that means that Nick cannot send out any monies after he cannot send anything to the bank to be released, and it takes 2 days. So that means somebody would have to come in on Monday morning. He usually has payroll done by 10.
Well, Barbara.
But we have to do this to be in compliance with
We have
state
to
law.
do it to
is
be
what
in
it says.
compliance. so.
Right, he cannot disperse any monies, meaning he can't send this to the bank, and this is how he does it. It gets sent to the bank as soon as the warrant is signed by the town manager. That's how it's been being done. And they require 2 days at the bank, so it would have to be Monday morning.
So So if Barbara's not available, that means Melanie would have to come in Monday morning. Is that, what does that do to you,
Well, she
Melanie?
know any of them will do
No,
it. Monday morning, because it's gonna be after 10, she can be working.
exactly.
Maybe it should be more broad. Any-
That's why I said, put
any
down everybody's
member-
name, you just start making calls. Whoever's available, come in and please sign it.
Well, I mean, I could generally, oh, it's at 10 o'clock?
I don't know when he usually has payroll ready. Mary,
Yeah, usually it's around 10 o'clock. I mean, it could vary depending on who hasn't got their time slips in. But he can't send it to the bank at all until that, with this new policy, until that's signed.
I mean, I'm retired, so I would have a better shot of coming in
Right,
than some of you that are working or maybe out of town, so.
right.
But we right now have chair, vice chair. Shall we put or other
Yeah.
select persons?
What does that have to say specifically? Signed by one or more member
Yeah,
of
I
the
mean,
board
I
of
would just
select
list-
persons.
I would just,
you could
List-
list
list
everybody in
everybody's name.
amendments.
Yeah, just
Whomever
list
might
everybody-
be
just
available.
everybody's name.
just take a new one.
Yeah, like, can we wait this out? No.
Why don't you say specifically any member of the board of select persons? So if we have someone, we have an election change in March, we don't have to come back in and sign this again.
Right.
May we take like a 2-second?
But, wow, but
We're almost there.
First time off, it's like, I remember one of us used to have to come in and sign it. every time.
Remember what she used to do, was she put anything that needed to be signed on the file cabinet.
Mhm.
And we would
Yeah.
swing through, sign it, we could come in anytime, day or night.
Mhm.
But if Nick could, text Barbara or Barbara.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to do the
No,
first.
as long as they just send out an email. Yes.
Yeah, but then you don't want to have, three people.
What
going together.
I would do before I came over, I'd call, so if anybody been there.
I'm just amazed that we didn't check before we did it in 2012
Well, I
to
wouldn't
make
want
sure
to
that it was legal.
But remember, when I got back on the board for the last few months, I've been saying, I never see any, because we used to, we gave them permission to sign it. But then the next time we had the select board meeting,
Right,
those warrants would come before us and we'd just double check them and sign off on
yeah,
them. And we never got any. I mentioned it 50 times. So when she sent that email, I went, oh, okay.
well, because we were talking about that too, because I remember there was the question of if we could disperse funds and then sign on them in the next one, and I said, well, what do we do with payroll? What do we do with the select board?
Yeah.
Like, that all goes through. All right, we're almost there. That's it,
Yeah,
town
town
manager's
manager's
report,
report. I'm
and
gonna
then
take that.
executive session.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a 2-second break.
More goodies, more paperwork.
Really? Oh, there you go. There you go.
That's my bit.
I'm usually in bed, well, I don't sleep up either, between 7 and 8. I used to be in bed by 6. I'm doing better.
Or you should sleep beside me in the chair in the living room while I'm watching the news by 7:30.
So it's everybody's back on.
I'm gonna time you.
Okay.
I'm gonna be sure I do this.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we did talk about that. We should do what-
All right,
Okay.
Lauren, you're on.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. I gave you a written report, and I'm not sure if this is how you like to have this. This is what I've done in other towns, so hopefully this is acceptable. I'll read
Yes.
through it really quick. The water project, and you've discussed this already, we received the updated agreement. And then I just gave an explanation about that. And speaking with our town attorney, gave the information that if you were not comfortable with the current agreement and needed a bit more time to iron that out, that our attorney Phil had sent the proper language to do that. The Dalton property, you've already gone over with Corey and discussed, and that will be tabled until our next meeting, October 4. The health officer, you've accepted that resignation. I've reached out to Travis to see if we can maybe line him up for that. Maine DOT Region 2 pavement preservation projects. So there will be another paving project which will start 0.03 of a mile north of Darren Drive in Augusta. That should be Augusta. And then extend north 6.21 miles. That will go out to the Department of Transportation March of 2023. Trio Web, we are moving forward with that. We've already paid for it. We have a new server installed because they are not doing the hosting. We'll be doing the hosting and backups here. I've got access to the online play environment.
Yeah, can I just ask, so what does this mean that they're not hosting?
If they host it, that means the data is not saved on our server, backed up on our server. They back up 5 times a day. All the updates are done automatically. If you do it yourself, your server, then you have to manually do those updates. You have to back it up on your server. And then there's I think it's a $375 annual fee. I can't remember what it's called. It's J something. It really, you end up spending about $1,800 a year if you have them host, which is, it really is better to have them do it.
So
The backups
So
and
who's
all.
been doing our backups? Is our office staff backing up 5 times a day?
Does our office back up 5 times a day? That I don't know, Mary. Do you know that?
Because I'm not interested in throwing a baby out with the bathwater.
Yes, we do back up.
Do we back up 5 times a day?
I don't know if it's 5 times a day, but we do back up. We do have backup right now.
We have off-site backup.
I thought Trio was backing us up already.
That was my understanding.
Yeah. And then Main Tech. I mean, we have both, So I don't understand why we would have to be paying more for backup. And if it's web, why isn't our technology department main tech covering that? So web is something that all of Trio has moved to in most municipalities. It allows you to be able to do multiple things in multiple screens. And but I thought I know we have backup now. So
All right. So I'd like a little more investigating on that. Who's doing the backup? Who's responsible for what? And if we're doing it here,
It's not being done with Trio because with the system we put in Buckfield, I could go right online. It was like, I think the web address was like trio-buckfield something, and it would bring you to the login screen online. I couldn't do that with this here. Will from Harris Computers had to remote in and set it up on my PC. And the web address is totally different than what the address was in Buckfield, because I told him, I said, well, why can't I just, it's like Trio something, it would be Trio Belgrade, and I could just log right in. He said, no, you're hosted in Buckfield, you're not hosted here. We're not hosting you in Belgrade. So it's different.
well, that's Harris isn't hosted.
Harris Computers is Trio.
Yeah, it's me, it's the one Mary just mentioned, it's the other company.
Right, main tech.
But Harris Computers is if you hear Harris Computers, it's Trio.
Okay,
So they aren't hosting Trio Web here. You have a new server, and that's where the information is stored. Trio isn't backing it up offsite, as if you were quote hosted by them. But we are moving forward with it. I know, Mary, you asked for a quote for the sketch module so that we could include that in the budget request for 23.
yeah,
So it expands the capabilities for our assessor to get all of that, all of the real estate files done in Trio. It should allow us to get the property cards done into a PDF format and uploaded to our website, which would be super helpful to all of the people that call and want that information.
I guess, one of the things I guess that concerns me is accessing Trio Web from anywhere. Because I don't want the towns, I don't want our municipal stuff accessible for anyone. I don't want you sitting at home and getting on your computer, plugging in and pulling up the town of Belgrade stuff. Because all that stuff gets held in people's drives, no matter what they're doing. So if we have the ability for people to remotely access our Trio system, it feels like we are inviting a worm to come in and.
Trio Web is online, just like Facebook or Google or Zoom.
Yeah, I want to think about that one a little bit more, if that's possible. I'm happy with us to get a quote. I'd like for someone to come and kind of explain the whole thing to us, I guess, because I want to make sure whatever we do, that we're protecting.
It's very secure. A ton of municipalities are using it.
Well, because Facebook and Zoom are. So if we use that as the example, they're not secure. So I don't want to open up the town of Belgrade and our records to anything. And I see Sarah's face and she is like,
You already made that decision. You already signed a contract and paid for it previously.
but I guess we didn't realize, I didn't realize that this meant that our system could be accessed from anywhere.
Well, it's web-based. It's no different than somebody going on the web for anything. And it's not accessible to anyone without you have to have a password. You can't
It sounds
just-
like it's kind of set up like,
You can't,
with the company I work for, I kept it on American Express every month. To log in through the computer. So it's web-based, I go to their account.
you can't just, nobody
Put my
can get
password
in
in, I
there.
got to
You
print
have
off
to
all
have
the
a
expenses.
password and have to have,
Balance them out for
Right.
the month.
you can't just,
Right.
That's what it sounds like.
you can't
Well, and can there
access
be too
our,
many cooks in the kitchen?
you can't access the accounts unless you're an authorized user and you have a login information. A resident can't pull up Trio Web online and get into it. I will be able to, Mary will, Nick,
Probably the
Yeah.
assessors.
because we're authorized users and Harris has to give us authorization.
You won't
us-
be working from
a
home,
sign-
right? Because we
A
don't want you
sign, a
working at
username
midnight.
and a password, right? Not even you all can get in unless you want access to it, and then you would have to be set up through Harris with username, password. So it's not like the general public has access to it. But what I meant by what I said in my report is that you can access it from anywhere. If I were on vacation and you had a question and something needed to be done, I could log in and do that.
If you're snowed in.
Right, if you're snowed in, somebody's sick for a day, but there's an emergency, what if it were Nick? He could log in online and he could pull up whatever it was, answer a question. It's stuff like that. That's what I mean by access from anywhere, but it's only authorized use.
I just got a quick question that I follow you read on it, but it would be worth it to bring an expert in the program or the house that is setting all this up to come to the select board and explain what it's all about and what it can do or what it cannot do, and what will be the liability of exposing. Could it be a hacking of the system and all that information being exposed? I guess that's the question, I guess that the words were.
Right, yeah, I don't, yes, you'd have to pay them to come and talk to you, but if you want them to come and talk to you and wait.
Hmm.
It's, I don't know, when you
I-
purchased the program, Mary, do you remember?
No, I don't. I think we did it last year, actually, and we didn't move forward because no one had been able to do the training. No one had been able to, we've just had so many changes in the office. So
We
it's,
also have to have a new server.
well, and I think that's why if we're not being backed up by Trio, that's why we were being backed up by Trio on the old server. But now Trio moved. Remember, we're supposed to have the shutdown day that did not happen. And Trio actually did migrate to the new server.
The other question I will have is something happened to Trio, was it gonna be that the company go bankrupt or something like that?
They've been in business for some time. Trio has been around for many years.
So they had a good financial.
Yeah.
strength?
Most of the
Most towns
municipalities
use
in the use Trio. Probably 20 years, maybe more, Mary.
Sorry, yes. Yeah, I keep on muting myself, so yes.
They've been around for some time. Yeah, quite a long time, actually.
There are things that we have to trust, Melanie, you know? We have intuition, but well, we have to trust it.
But I also trust our town clerk who's been here this long, and Trio used to back us up, so Trio not backing us up was new information to us. And my thought is that Main Tech, who was doing the installation of our new server, should have facilitated continuing with what was happening before. And if they were not, then they should have been backing it up.
Code enforcement, the committee did interviews Friday morning. So there is some recommendations that will come from that, from Friday. The Narrows West Bridge stakeholders met at the bridge last week with Maine Department of Transportation to determine the best areas for turnarounds for school buses, plow trucks, and discussed how to ensure emergency services are able to access residents on either side of the bridge. As it will be closed during the winter months, you'll find a memo giving a brief recap of that meeting in your packet. And then you've already discussed the Minot Hill chip sealing. I had a meeting with Jason, we went over all of that. I also included as part of my report that meeting, Narrows West Bridge. And then after that, I provided some information that came through with regard to determining the historic land and historic buildings, which they determined that there was no imminent danger or threat or anything like that. That's the following pages in your packet.
That's interesting to see that Castle on Kansas is historic.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that is.
So that was it for my.
I was just gonna
I was
say,
gonna
so Carol, this is the part where Carol has pictures of the runoff from 2020 that she wants included and sent to
So,
DOT.
just, I've been concerned, I mean, I go through there all the time. I've been concerned about the runoff. If you're going from Belgrade to Rome, you go over this culvert area, and on the right, there's an area where cars pull off, people go fishing, and the water just pours down over the edge into the lake. And we have been working with the BLA Association on the Long Pond Watershed Management Plan. And I've now spoken with 7LA, and they're working with us because they keep saying, well, you know, we can't do anything on the road. Well, now they're working right where this erosion is. So I went, after we looked at the turnaround, Laura and myself, Travis, the two gentlemen from DOT, and maybe Lenny went too, and looked at the erosion and said, you're working here, you need to figure out a way to fix this. And the guy said, oh, do you have any pictures? And I thought, I know I do, I just couldn't, I mean, so I've now found them. So I have a video of the water running down and taking dirt into the lake. And if we don't get it corrected now, it'll be 6 or 7 or 8 years until they do something again on that road. The engineer did say the road does slope, so everything runs that way. In the middle of that discussion, Travis asked about putting in a dry hydrant. So Travis and I think Dan McKenzie are exploring with the state engineers about getting a dry hydrant put in. And if it could be put in, this is the time to do it, and what the cost would or would not be. One of the concerns was that it's conservation land. So in talking with Charlie Bader, who was from 7LA, he said they just put a dry hydrant in on North Pond in conservation land. So there's another layer of signature, but it's very workable. So this area would be where you would pull the fire truck off to get it out of the way to do it. So Charlie's trying to meet with Tony and the other engineer to talk with them about his thoughts of what needs to be done to work on that area. And there's sort of a sense of urgency because before very long, they're going to put this out to bid. So there's a letter being written by 7LA. I didn't get a copy of it today, hoping that 7LA, the Belgrade Lakes Association, has voted to do this, that we have Belgrade, Rome, and Mount Vernon endorse the letter or sign on to the letter or write a similar letter themselves to the state saying, this is an opportunity to fix a longstanding problem and we need your support. So I would like to see Belgrade do it. I don't know if that's something we can authorize Lorna to do. I mean, the letter will be drafted and then they're getting ready to put bids out. So there's a real sense of urgency. DEP has granted, Long Pond is just qualified for a DEP loan, so DEP's there. Long Pond's impaired. The road slopes, the water. I'm just looking to see what else is in that thing. So that's the big concern that I have. And I didn't get a lot of confidence that the state was overly excited when we were there, unless you felt.
No, I felt like they were placating us.
Yeah, I think when they said, well, if you have a picture, well, I have a video, which I sent to all of you. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it. It's very clear. And then, we're also planning on talking to our representatives and for Rome, Mount Vernon, and Belgrade, and, both the representatives and the Senate people, so that we can see if we can get DOT to just incorporate it while we're doing this. So.
And that would be at DOT's expense.
It should be at DOT's expense because they sloped the road wrong. It wouldn't be the town paying for it. The dry hydrant, they did say usually the town or the entity pays for materials and they do the labor. And this technically is in Rome, but because it's going to benefit Rome, Mount Vernon, and Belgrade, it may be that the 3 fire departments or whatever, I don't, we'll have to see what the cost is. And he said it wasn't real expensive. I didn't think to find out from Charlie Bader what they paid up in North Pond when they did that. They just did that one up there. So we need to find out, Travis and Dan need to say where they would like it and then see what can be done to do it in such a way that we can get the trucks off the road and not be blocking traffic, which that's the spot. So if they've got to put the trucks off and find a place to put the trucks, they could level it up a little and have the water, run. There's a natural sort of water garden area if it's sloped properly. So it's not a hard thing to fix, but if it doesn't get fixed now, we're going to continue to run dirt in the lake again. So.
They're already scrambling, from their perspective, they're already scrambling to get the bridge
Right.
done a year sooner than they had anticipated.
Right, so their bids are going out in early October, which is why bringing it to their attention and saying, please, Charlie, I know, is going to talk with them and do some preliminary sketches. So that's.
I would make a motion that we authorize Lorna to send a letter confirming the town's support of the request from 7LA.
7LA and probably the fire department as well for the dry hydrant. So I would second your motion.
Okay. Any further discussion on that now actionable item?
So, Barb, is that letter going, I'm sorry, Carol, will a letter come from 7LA?
Well, they're
one-
putting together a letter, and then I guess it's just a discussion whether we endorse that letter or we write a similar one. Basically the same thing, change the name to protect the innocent. So
Okay.
I'll see. I was hoping they'd have it to me today, but they don't. But these were the points that were in it, were the ones I just mentioned.
Okay. If they want to send a draft or a template or something, just exactly what you want in it,
Okay.
I can either mimic what they send or write something
Okay.
and get that read out. If they have something ready and they simply want us to
Sign on to it.
sign on.
I think they were looking to sort of get a sense of which way to do it. So
Just
If you
As
could
soon
make
as
sure
they send something over.
I'm sorry.
Make sure they send me a copy of it, if you want me to put something on legislative.
I do.
letterhead,
Yeah, I do.
something To base it on.
Yeah.
You know, so
Should I use your town of Belgrade email?
I don't use my town Belgrade.
Oh, I think that's where I made, did you get the,
I got pictures.
you did? Okay,
I think you
What-
sent it, I think you sent it to Dan document.
okay, all right. Okay, I will, I'll get it.
Yeah.
I was hoping to get it today, but everyone was scrambling, so,
Because it, you know, if you can get it to me with how they wrote it, and basically the location. and,
Okay,
you know,
super.
I can transfer it and tweak it around. so it's
Yeah.
not exactly the same water.
good. Good, appreciate
So-
that.
Are we done with that piece?
Vote.
No?
Want to see,
Yes.
Melanie, do you want to see the letter before it goes out?
I think we should.
Absolutely.
So forward a copy to the select board so we could say, yeah, that looks great, go ahead, or, what is that?
We can do that.
All right, so will you add that to Barbara's motion?
And I'll second that.
Perfect. All right, all those in favor, Rick,
Yep.
Ian,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
all right, 5 yeses. We'll Look at 11 and we'll send it out. All right,
Getting down to the end.
so I will make a motion that we exit the select board meeting and we enter executive. So take motion to exit the select board meeting.
So second,
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, Barbara,
Yes.
Carol,
yeah,
Dan,
Yes.
Rick?
Yep.
All right, 5 yeses. So we're now going to enter executive session. Scott, no offense. to you. He's like, I'll be out.
So we stop the recording.
11 PM.
second,
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor, Carol?
Yep.
Dan,
Yeah.
Rick,
Yeah.
Barbara?
Yes.
All right, 5 yeses. We're back in the select board meeting. Take a motion to adjourn at 11:01.
No, we
No,
didn't.
no,
No.
Hold on. Look how fast I was. So I make a motion that we approve the recommended hire for the position of code enforcement officer. And that we authorize the town manager to extend a job offer to him tomorrow.
I'll second it.
or do we need to have that in there or not?
All right, moved and seconded. There's no further discussion. Dan,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
All right, 5 yeses.
Now you
Now
can do it.
to adjourn at 11:01.
So moved.
All right,
Second.
moved,
Good night.
moved and seconded. All those in favor, bye-bye now.
You want to stop?
Yeah,
recording?
this guy